The gleaming titanium case in Ralph Evans' hands represents humanity's last chance to prove their medical capabilities to the Hirogen. Inside lies a revolutionary neural interface prosthetic system that could help a disabled alien child walk again if the skeptical avian species will give human technology a fair chance. Ralph steps through the polished corridors of the Hirogen Central Medical Facility, his footsteps echoing against pristine white walls. The facility's chief physician, Dr. K-Tao, towers over him, iridescent feathers shifting with each movement as they approach the examination room. The tension between them crackles like static electricity. "This way, Mr. Evans, doctor," K-Tao states, voice clipped and professional. The unspoken message is clear: prove yourself or leave. The examination room doors slide open to reveal 8-year-old Flora perched in her hoverchair, her small form dwarfed by the advanced medical equipment surrounding her. Her feathers lack the characteristic shine of healthy Hirogen youth, dulled by years of immobility caused by her rare genetic disorder. Behind her hoverchair stands her father, Ambassador V-Rock, his political career hanging by a thread for daring to advocate for human medical intervention. Ralph sets his case on the examination table, conscious of the recording devices activated by the attending Hirogen medical staff. Their sharp features remain fixed in expressions of thin-lived contempt as they prepare to document what they expect to be another failure of primitive, human technology. The system combines carbon fiber supports with bio-neural interfaces, Ralph explains, hands steady as he assembles the prosthetic components. Each neural connector is calibrated to interface specifically with Hirogen nervous system patterns. The medical staff exchange glances at this claim. No human device has ever successfully integrated with Hirogen biology. The fact that Flora cannot participate in the traditional coming-of-age flight ceremonies, a cornerstone of their culture, has been a source of deep shame for her family and a persistent challenge to Hirogen medical science. Ralph continues the calibration process, adjusting microscopic sensors and testing connection points. The exoskeletal frame takes shape under his careful hands, each piece clicking into place with precision engineering. Ambassador V-Rock watches intently, while Dr. K-Tao makes notes with sharp, aggressive movements. The stakes rise with each passing moment. This isn't just about helping one child walk, it's about bridging the gap between two species, about challenging preconceptions that have kept human medical innovations away from Hirogen patients for decades. The Medical Council's rejection of human technology has cost countless lives, but pride and prejudice have maintained the barrier until now. As Ralph prepares to activate the neural interface, the room falls silent. The moment of truth approaches. Will human ingenuity succeed where Hirogen medicine has failed? Ralph's finger hovered over the activation control on his diagnostic tablet. "Beginning neural interface initialization," he announced, his voice steady despite the weight of expectations pressing down on the room. Flora's iridescent feathers rippled with a sudden wave of nervous energy. The young Hirogen's talons gripped the arms of her hoverchair as Ralph guided her through the process. "You'll feel a slight tingling sensation as the system calibrates," he explained, eyes fixed on the scrolling diagnostic data. The prosthetic components hummed to life, collecting baseline readings from Flora's nervous system. Ralph's brow furrowed as unexpected data patterns flashed across his screen. "Interesting," he muttered, fingers flying across the interface. "Hirogen neural signals operate at nearly triple the frequency we initially projected." Dr. K-Tao's head snapped up. "Explain." "The variation isn't dangerous," Ralph assured him, already implementing adjustments to the calibration protocols. "The system's adaptive algorithms are compensating automatically. I'm just optimizing the response parameters." A new figure stepped forward from the observation area, a female Hirogen with steel-gray plumage and piercing yellow eyes. Dr. K-Tao inclined his head toward her. Senior neurologist Dr. Emria has treated Flora's condition extensively using traditional methods. Dr. Emria's feathers bristled as she studied Ralph's diagnostic readouts. These human interfaces, what failsafes prevent neural feedback cascade. Ralph projected a holographic diagram of the system's architecture. Triple redundant shutdown protocols here, here, and here, he indicated. Biofeedback limiters throughout the neural pathway chain. The system monitors signal integrity at 50,000 points per second. The diagnostic panel chimed, displaying a green confirmation signal. Flora gasped as the carbon fiber supports adjusted minutely around her legs. Neural synchronization achieved, Ralph announced. The assembled Hirigen medical staff exchanged glances. This milestone had eluded their own attempts at human Hirigen medical integration for decades. Ambassador Vrock moved closer to his daughter's hoverchair, his wings half-spread in an unconscious protective gesture. The door slid open as Chief Medical Officer Arnak entered, his obsidian feathers catching the light. The room's atmosphere grew even more charged with his authoritative presence. Initiating Stage 1 motor control, Ralph continued, keeping his voice calm and professional. Flora, you may feel some muscle responses as we establish the connection pathways. The young Hirigen's legs twitched. Dr. K-Tal and Dr. Emria crowded around their scanning equipment, analyzing the stream of data from multiple instruments. Neural pathway integrity holding steady, Dr. Emria reported, her earlier skepticism giving way to focused attention. Myelin response within expected parameters. Ralph methodically worked through the calibration sequence, explaining each step to the increasingly engaged medical team. The carbon fiber matrix adapts to natural muscle movement patterns, he demonstrated, adjusting a series of settings. It augments rather than replaces existing motor function. The prosthetic system's status indicators showed green across all channels. Flora's eyes widened as she felt the interface synchronize more deeply with her nervous system. Preparing for active motor control initialization, Ralph announced, fingers poised above the final activation sequence. The assembled medical staff took positions around Flora's hoverchair. Dr. K-Tal and Dr. Emria on either side, monitors ready, while Ambassador Vrock stood behind her, ready to support his daughter. Chief Medical Officer Arnak observed with laser focus as Ralph began the final sequence of commands. The room held its breath, decades of medical and diplomatic barriers hanging in the balance as human technology merged with Hirigen physiology in ways previously thought impossible. Ralph's finger pressed the activation control. The prosthetic system engaged with a quiet whir as servos and actuators came online. Flora's legs twitched as the carbon fiber supports adjusted, conforming to her unique avian physiology with microscopic precision. Neural interface active, Ralph announced, eyes darting between multiple data streams on his tablet. Flora, try to focus on moving your right leg forward. The young Hirigen's face scrunched in concentration. Her right leg extended in a smooth, controlled motion, the first voluntary movement she'd achieved in years. Dr. Emria's scanner whirred, capturing every microsecond of the historic moment. Extraordinary, Dr. K-Tal breathed, professional detachment cracking. The interface synchronization is perfect. Ambassador Vrock stepped closer as Ralph initiated the weight-bearing assistance protocols. A warning flashed across the diagnostic display. The system's gravitational compensation algorithms were struggling with Flora's hollow bone structure. Minor calibration required, Ralph explained, fingers flying across his tablet's emergency override interface. The mass distribution ratios need adjustment for avian physiology. Chief Medical Officer Arnak loomed over Ralph's shoulder, watching each modification with predatory intensity. Explain these changes. The system expected solid bone density. I'm updating the support calculations to account for. Father, I want to stand, Flora interrupted, her voice trembling with excitement. The room fell silent as Ralph completed the calibration. Ambassador Vrock positioned himself behind Flora's hoverchair, wings half-spread in readiness. The prosthetic hummed as Flora pushed herself upward, servos compensating for years of muscle weakness. Maintaining neural synchronization, Dr. Catal reported, scanner sweeping back and forth. Muscle response patterns within expected parameters. Flora rose from the hoverchair, talons clicking against the floor. Her father's hands hovered near her shoulders but didn't touch. The young Hirogen swayed slightly as the prosthetic system made thousands of microscopic adjustments per second. Take your time, Ralph advised, monitoring the neural feedback. The system is learning your movement patterns. Flora lifted her right foot and took a hesitant step forward. Instantly, Ralph's diagnostics flagged unusual stress patterns in her ankle joint. The prosthetic's adaptive algorithms redirected support through secondary channels, compensating for the previously unknown quirks of Hirogen leg muscle architecture. Dr. Emria darted forward with her scanner. The support distribution is adapting automatically, without manual input. Yes, the system continuously optimizes itself based on real-time feedback. The examination room door slid open as Director HFY entered, his granite-colored plumage marking him as one of the facility's highest-ranking officials. Flora took another step, oblivious to the new arrival as she concentrated on her movements. Neural plasticity increasing by 3%, Dr. Catal announced. The interface is actually strengthening her natural nerve responses. Ralph nodded, making note of the unexpected benefit. The adaptive algorithms promote neural pathway development while providing support. Over time, this should accelerate her rehabilitation. Flora continued walking, each step more confident than the last. The prosthetic system's servos whirred softly as she traversed the room, compensating for minute shifts in balance and muscle fatigue. Director HVEC moved to Ralph's diagnostic station, studying the scrolling data with intense focus. These feedback patterns, the director gestured to a fluctuating graph. They indicate potential for further optimization. Yes, we'll need additional calibration phases to fully attune the system to Flora's unique biology. The neural interface is performing well, but there's room for improvement in the... A small chirp of joy interrupted them. Flora had reached the far wall and turned, managing the rotation with surprising grace as the prosthetic adjusted to the new movement. Ambassador Vrock watched his daughter's progress. His normally stern features softened with nearly unleashed emotion. The assembled medical staff continued documenting every aspect of the demonstration, their initial skepticism replaced by professional curiosity. Dr. Emria's scanner tracked the prosthetic's power consumption, while Dr. Catal analyzed muscle response data. Chief Medical Officer Arnak maintained his imposing presence behind Ralph, but his earlier hostility had given way to intense interest in the diagnostic readouts. Ralph's attention returned to the neural feedback patterns. The subtle fluctuations could indicate areas for fine-tuning, but the overall stability of the interface exceeded even his most optimistic projections. As Flora began another circuit of the room, her steps growing steadier, the prosthetic system continued its countless invisible adjustments supporting, learning, and adapting to every movement. Ralph's eyes narrowed at his diagnostic display as Flora completed another circuit of the room. Subtle fluctuations in the neural feedback patterns caught his attention, microscopic variations that spelled trouble. "Flora, let's pause for a moment," he called out, initiating a partial power reduction. The prosthetic servos hummed as they guided her to a controlled stop. "I'm seeing some strain on your anterior muscle groups." Dr. Emria's scanner whirred to life, confirming his observation. "Tissue stress markers elevated by 17%, she reported, her feathers overflowing. "Primary strain concentrated in the gastrocnemius region." The examination room door slid open as medical engineering specialist Tiven entered, her bronze plumage reflecting the overhead lights. She carried specialized hearing diagnostic equipment, her earlier skepticism evident in her rigid posture. "Allow me to verify these readings," Tiven stated, positioning her equipment alongside Ralph's monitoring station. Her talons clicked against the floor as she moved, comparing data streams with precise movements. Her eyes widened. "This can't be correct." She adjusted her scanner's settings and ran another sweep. "The muscle tissue, it's showing signs of cellular regeneration." "What, doctor?" Ketal rushed to examine the readings. "The neural interface frequency, it's stimulating natural tissue growth." Ambassador Vrock stepped forward. "A full medical evaluation. Now." Chief Medical Officer Arnak nodded, activating the room's primary bioscanner. Blue light bathed Flora's lower body as the device mapped her cellular structure in microscopic detail. The resulting holographic display showed streams of data that made Dr. Emria gasp. "The prosthetic isn't just supporting movement," she explained, manipulating the hologram. "Look at these growth patterns. The neural interface is triggering accelerated muscle development." Ralph accessed his tablet's archives, fingers flying across the interface. Similar effects appeared in human trials, but at much lower intensities. He projected a comparison diagram. "The higher frequency required for hearing nervous systems has amplified the regenerative response by a factor of 3. Flora attempted to return to her hover chair, but her legs suddenly trembled. The prosthetic's emergency protocols engaged instantly support struts locked, servos whirred, and stabilizing fields prevented her fall before anyone could react. "Implementing safety adjustments," Ralph announced, his fingers dancing across the control interface. "Adding graduated power assistance to prevent muscle fatigue while supporting the regeneration process." The door opened again as senior biomechanical engineer Pilar entered. Her charcoal feathers were streaked with silver, marking decades of experience. Director HVAC gestured her toward the prosthetic framework. Pilar circled Flora, scanning the carbon fiber components with practiced eyes. "Fascinating. The load distribution perfectly complements our hollow bone structure." She tapped a support strut with her talon. "These stress patterns, they mirror natural hearing weight-bearing mechanics." Ralph initiated the second walking trial, now with modified protocols in place. Flora rose smoothly, the prosthetic system automatically adjusting power output based on real-time muscle feedback. She took a step, then another, each movement more natural than before. "Try a lateral weight shift," Pilar instructed. "Test the stabilization response." Flora complied, shifting her weight from side to side. The prosthetic adapted instantly, thousands of micro-adjustments maintaining perfect balance. She attempted a small hop, causing several monitoring systems to chirp in alarm. "Careful," Ralph cautioned, though he couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. "Let's master walking before attempting flight ceremony maneuvers." A new figure entered, Representative J. Hall of the Medical Council, his presence immediately drawing every eye in the room. His white-streaked plumage marked him as an elder of considerable influence. "Proceed," J. Hall commanded, his voice carrying the weight of authority. Ralph adjusted several parameters on his tablet, establishing new monitoring protocols for the regenerative effect. Flora continued her exercises, each step stronger than the last, while the assembled medical team documented every aspect of this unprecedented fusion of human and hearing medical science. The prosthetic hummed quietly, supporting and strengthening, as Flora practiced a careful turn. Data streamed across multiple displays, telling the story of muscle fibers regenerating, neural pathways strengthening, and two species technologies working in perfect harmony. "Establishing baseline data for long-term monitoring," Ralph announced, creating new diagnostic parameters. "We'll need to track the regenerative progression carefully." He glanced at Dr. Ketal. This may require extended observation periods. Representative J. Hal moved closer to the diagnostic station, his piercing gaze fixed on the scrolling data. Flora continued her exercises behind them, each movement a testament to the unexpected breakthrough they'd achieved. The prosthetic servos whispered with every step, adjusting and adapting as human ingenuity merged with Hirogen biology in ways none had anticipated. Ralph's eyes tracked new anomalies appearing in the neural feedback patterns, positive anomalies that hinted at unprecedented possibilities. These dormant nerve pathways, senior medical researcher V. Marr announced, hurrying into the room with a data tablet. They're reactivating. She projected a three-dimensional neural map that filled the air with glowing blue pathways. Look at these regions completely inactive in previous scans, now showing significant electrical activity. Representative J. Hal stepped closer to the projection, his white-streaked feathers catching the holographic light. Explain the implications. The prosthetic's neural interface isn't just supporting movement, Ralph explained, correlating his data with VMAR's findings. It's stimulating nerve regeneration throughout the affected areas. He highlighted several neural clusters. These patterns suggest broad therapeutic applications beyond mobility assistance. Chief Medical Officer Arnak activated his comm unit. Contact the High Council, priority channel. His massive frame straightened as he transmitted preliminary data packets. 15 genetic disorders in our database share similar neural degradation patterns. This technology could, a permanent human medical liaison office, J. Hal interrupted, turning to face Ralph. Here within Central Medical, your expertise will be required long-term. Ralph nodded, already mentally cataloging the resources he'd need. The prosthetic servos whirred softly in the background as Flora completed another circuit of the room. Stop, Doctor. K-Tao called out suddenly, her scanner revealing concerning readings. The muscle development is accelerating too rapidly. We need rest intervals. Ralph's fingers flew across his tablet, implementing graduated power assistance, adding automated rest cycles every 15 minutes. The prosthetic smoothly adjusted its support as Flora settled into a resting position. Rehabilitation specialist L. Wren arrived, her bronze-tipped wings folded precisely against her back. She studied Flora's stance with practiced eyes. We must incorporate traditional strengthening exercises. The ancient wing-stretching forms will complement this technology. The examination room had become crowded as more specialists arrived. Technical systems analyst Pivor crouched beside Flora's prosthetic framework, his specialized scanner probing the carbon fiber components. Impossible, Pivor muttered, adjusting his scanner's resolution. These microlattice structures, they mirror Hirogen bone architecture perfectly. How did human manufacturing achieve this precision? Medical Administrator Tikel entered with a data crystal containing patient files. We have 23 cases matching Flora's condition. If this treatment proves consistently effective, Boston Medical Technologies must be contacted, Ralph interjected, accessing his comm unit. We'll need additional units, support staff, training protocols. The door slid open again, revealing the imposing figure of scientific overseer Kavor. The room fell silent as the legendary conservative approached Flora's prosthetic system. His facial feathers contracted slightly, the Hirogen equivalent of raised eyebrows, as he observed the scrolling diagnostic data. The regenerative properties require extensive study, Kavor declared, his deep voice resonating through the room. A joint research initiative will be established, with appropriate oversight. Dr. Emria straightened her posture. I volunteer to coordinate the Hirogen research team. Ralph transferred a new data set to his tablet as the prosthetic's power consumption graphs shifted unexpectedly. The neural interface was adapting its protocols, optimizing its operation based on Flora's unique biological responses. Each adjustment revealed new possibilities for the technology's application across species barriers. "Father," Flora called out, her voice steady despite her exertion. "When can we begin flight training?" Ambassador Vrock's wing feathers rustled, a subtle sign of parental concern. "One step at a time, daughter. First, we ensure these improvements are stable." Ralph studied his diagnostic display, watching as the prosthetic system's adaptive algorithms continued their quiet revolution in neural interface technology. The room buzzed with activity as human and Hirogen medical science merged, creating something entirely new. Flora's next exercise session would begin soon, but first, they had a mountain of data to analyze, data that promised to transform more than just one young Hirogen's life. Ralph's fingers moved across his tablet, analyzing the streams of data from Flora's latest session. The neural interface's operational patterns caught his attention. The system had developed unique adaptations specifically tuned to Hirogen physiology. "These algorithms," he muttered, enlarging a section of the display. "They've evolved beyond the original baseline parameters." The examination room door opened as Clinical Research Director Enval strode in, her silver-tipped wings marking her position at the Neural Studies Division. She immediately focused on the scrolling diagnostics. "Show me the adaptive response patterns," she ordered, positioning herself beside Ralph's station. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the data. "Fascinating. The system isn't just supporting movement, it's creating entirely new operational protocols." Ambassador Vrock's comm unit chimed, interrupting their analysis. His feathers contracted as he read the incoming message. "The High Council," he announced. "3 allied species have requested access to this technology." Before anyone could respond, heavy footsteps announced the arrival of Military Medical Commander Krix. His battle-scarred plumage and rigid posture commanded immediate attention. "Human technology for warrior rehabilitation." Krix's voice carried notes of skepticism. "Our warriors heal through strength and will." Ralph responded by activating Flora's exercise protocols. "Flora, demonstrate sequence 7. Flora rose smoothly, the prosthetic system humming as she executed a series of precise movements. Each step, turn, and balance shift displayed the perfect fusion of technological support and natural healing. "The system enhances the body's natural recovery," Ralph explained, highlighting the muscle development data. "It doesn't replace it." Krix circled Flora, studying her movements. His expression remained neutral, but his wing feathers relaxed slightly, a subtle sign of growing acceptance. A warning indicator flashed on Ralph's display. Energy Systems Specialist Armil rushed to the monitoring station, her scanner already active. "Power fluctuations in the core," Armil reported. "The learning algorithms are consuming more energy than anticipated." Ralph pulled up the power distribution schematics. "We can reconfigure the system using modified human capacitor arrays." He glanced at Armil. "Combined with Hirogen power cycling techniques." "Yes," Armil interrupted, already making calculations. "The efficiency gains would be substantial." Her feathers ruffled in surprise. "Human power management protocols. They're remarkably sophisticated at this scale." Flora maintained her balance as they worked, the prosthetic adjusting automatically to the power modifications. She shifted into the preliminary stance for flight ceremonies, causing Ralph to lean forward in his chair. "Neural interface learning acceleration detected," he announced, implementing additional monitoring protocols. "The system's adapting faster than projected." Medical Security Officer Patel entered, his formal inspection gear clicking against his armored plumage. He moved methodically around the prosthetic system, scanning each component. "These safety measures," Patel noted, comparing readings. "They exceed our medical standards by significant margins." He transmitted his findings to the Medical Council. "Our certification protocols will require updating." Dr. Kaital's scanner word as he documented Flora's muscle development, the tissue structure it's organizing along enhanced efficiency patterns. He projected a three-dimensional image of the regenerating muscle fibers. Genetic research specialist Mvar pushed through the growing crowd of observers, her wings spread in excitement. These growth patterns could revolutionize treatment for multiple genetic disorders. She accessed the medical database. Starting with the K-Vor syndrome variants, Ralph's comm unit activated, displaying an urgent message from Earth. Dr. Thompson's shuttle arrives in 6 hours, he informed Ambassador V. Rock. Boston Medical is sending additional support staff and equipment. Flora executed another flight stance position, holding it steady as the prosthetic system hummed in perfect synchronization with her movements. The neural interface continued its rapid evolution, learning and adapting as human and Hirigen technology merged into something unprecedented. Full power core diagnostic complete, Armill announced, implementing the new distribution network. Efficiency increased by 32%. The room buzzed with activity as multiple teams documented Flora's progress, analyzed the system's development, and prepared for the expansion of the project. Ralph established new monitoring protocols for the accelerated learning patterns while Flora practiced her movements, each step bringing her closer to participating in the flight ceremonies that meant so much to her people. A chime from the medical center's docking control system announced the arrival of Dr. Thompson's shuttle. Ralph transferred the latest diagnostic data to a secure tablet as Flora completed her exercise routine. Neural activity spike detected, Ralph announced, his eyes fixed on the scrolling numbers. The prosthetics interface patterns had shifted into an unexpected configuration. Dr. Kaital, are you seeing this? Kaital's scanner whirred as he focused on Flora's legs, new neural pathways forming. The density exceeds our baseline projections by. He paused, rechecking his readings. 4 to 7%. Dr. James Thompson strode into the examination room, his travel uniform still carrying the faint scent of shuttle decontamination protocols. His eyes immediately locked onto the holographic display of Flora's neural mapping. The learning algorithms have self-modified, Thompson observed, pulling up comparative scans on the main display. They're replicating Hirigen neural architecture with precision we've never achieved in human trials. The door slid open again as Engineering Director Elvac entered, his military insignia gleaming against his dark plumage. He carried a secured data crystal, its surface etched with classified markings. The Military Research Division has authorized sharing of our cellular regeneration database, Elvac announced, inserting the crystal into the medical center's secure interface. These patterns may explain the enhanced neural growth. Flora executed a perfect flight stance, her prosthetic system adjusting smoothly to support the complex position. Elvac's feathers contracted in surprise as he watched her movements. Power draw increasing, announced Marcus Walker, who had arrived with Thompson and immediately stationed himself at the energy monitoring console. The neural processing is consuming more power than our initial designs anticipated. Hirigen Power Systems Specialist Kmar activated the auxiliary monitoring grid. Human miniaturization techniques combined with our distribution networks could solve this limitation. His fingers flew across the console, modeling potential hybrid configurations. Education Director Tyrell entered with 3 sets of medical files. These families have children with similar genetic profiles to Flora's case. They're requesting immediate evaluation for prosthetic treatment. Senior Production Engineer VTAC studied the manufacturing specifications on Ralph's tablet. Your quality control protocols. He enlarged a section of the technical data. They exceed our medical manufacturing standards by a significant margin. The prosthetic integration must respect traditional healing practices, announced Representative M. Lohr of the Cultural Preservation Council, who had been observing silently from the doorway. "Show me how this technology honors our ways." Flora responded by initiating the third stance of Wing Awakening, an ancient preparation ritual for young Hirogen learning to fly. The prosthetic system enhanced her natural movements without overshadowing them, supporting rather than replacing her body's own strength. Unauthorized access attempt detected. Intelligence Officer Kavek's voice cut through the room's activity. His security scanner pulsed with alert indicators. External systems are probing the prosthetics technical database. Medical Development Coordinator Arzan activated the room's secure communication array. The Medical Technology Summit must address information security protocols. Both our species have advances to share, but protection parameters must be established. Thompson and Ralph huddled over the neural mapping display, analyzing the prosthetics' evolving algorithms. The system had developed new pathways that bridged damaged sections of Flora's neural network, creating connections that neither human nor Hirogen medicine had achieved alone. "Begin fabrication of the dedicated neural mapping equipment," Ralph instructed the production system. "We'll need continuous monitoring of these new growth patterns." The room hummed with activity as humans and Hirogen worked together, expanding the scope of what began as a single case into something that would reshape medical science for both species. Flora maintained her stance. The prosthetic servos whispered, and new neural pathways continued to form, bridging gaps that had once seemed unbridgeable. The facility's security systems flashed red as Intelligence Officer Kavek's warning echoed through the room. His talons clicked against the console as he traced the intrusion attempt's signature. "Multiple breach vectors detected," Kavek announced, wings spreading in defensive posture. "The attackers are using distributed quantum algorithms to probe our databases." Chief Security Officer Tirak burst through the doorway, his combat scanner already active. "Initiating Protocol 7. His voice carried the sharp edge of military command. "All research data transfer to secure storage. Now." Ralph's fingers flew across his console, encrypting Flora's neural mapping data. The young Hirogen maintained her stance, the prosthetic humming steadily as security teams swept through the facility. "Energy signature detected in Section 4, a human security officer reported. "Non-standard technology." Tirak's scanner picked up the anomaly. "Vorax surveillance devices." "They've penetrated our outer perimeter." The discovery triggered an immediate facility-wide sweep. Human and Hirogen security teams moved in practiced formations, their scanners working in harmony to detect the alien technology. Each discovered device revealed the signature of Vorax engineering, aggressive, efficient, and entirely unwelcome. "Doctor." Thompson's attention shifted to his medical display as an alert flashed. "Ralph, look at these muscle development readings." The data showed an unprecedented acceleration in Flora's tissue regeneration. Her leg muscles pulsed with new strength, growing at triple the expected rate. Muscle development specialist Kamer joined them, his scanner whirring as he documented the phenomenon. "The neural stimulation is catalyzing natural Hirogen healing processes," Kamer observed, projecting a three-dimensional view of the muscle fibers. "This interaction pattern is entirely new." Dr. Victor Martinez entered the medical bay, his Boston Medical Technologies security badge glinting under the lights. He immediately connected with Tirak, their discussions centered on advanced encryption protocols. "We can integrate quantum-encrypted channels with your communication systems," Martinez explained, displaying the technical specifications. "Combined with Hirogen computing cores, the security mesh would be impenetrable," Tirak finished, already implementing the new protocols. Flora initiated her first hover jump, the prosthetic system adjusting instantly to compensate for gravitational shifts. The power readings spiked sharply, causing engineering specialist Arpaz to lean forward at his monitoring station. "The energy draw exceeds safe parameters," Arpaz noted, accessing the power distribution network. We need to reconfigure the entire grid. High Commander Kavex's arrival silenced all conversation. His battle-worn armor bore the marks of countless conflicts, and his presence immediately elevated the security response. "Deploy the Phase 3 defense grid," he ordered. "Full integration with human surveillance systems." The medical facility transformed as advanced Hirogen security technology merged with human monitoring equipment. Quantum sensors paired with thermal imaging, creating overlapping fields of protection that no unauthorized signal could penetrate. "Neural pattern detected," Ralph announced, studying Flora's latest scan. "The system is anticipating her movements." Neural response analyst Petel verified the readings. The prosthetics learning algorithms had evolved beyond reactive support, actively preparing for Flora's intended actions before she initiated them. The implications for trauma treatment sparked immediate discussion among the medical team. The arrival of medical observer L. Van from the Colony Worlds Council added new urgency to their work. He carried data crystals containing medical records from across Hirogen space children with genetic conditions similar to Flora's, waiting for treatment. Production Systems Engineer Mitchell arriving in Bay 3, the facility's computer announced. Sarah Mitchell strode into the medical bay, her manufacturing expertise immediately focused on scaling up production. She studied the prosthetic system's components, already calculating material requirements and quality control parameters. The security teams continued their sweep as Flora practiced her hover jumps, each movement more refined than the last. The prosthetic system hummed with power, its neural interface evolving while layers of protection accumulated around the facility. Human and Hirogen technology merged and adapted, creating new possibilities with each passing moment. Ralph adjusted the neural mapping equipment as another security alert flashed across his screen. The Vorax weren't finished testing their defenses, but neither were they finished pushing the boundaries of what their combined medical science could achieve. "The regenerative signature," Kavek announced, his eyes narrowing at the sensor display. "These Vorax devices are specifically targeting the neural interface's healing protocols." Thompson leaned in to study the data patterns. "They're not just collecting technical specifications, they're mapping the entire regenerative process." The medical bay's doors slid open as John Matthews entered, his Earth intelligence credentials glowing with embedded verification markers. Multiple cases of counter-surveillance equipment flanked him, their quantum-sealed containers bearing the insignia of the Interstellar Security Council. "Let's make this facility disappear," Matthews said, activating a portable stealth matrix. The device hummed to life, projecting invisible detection fields throughout the medical center. Flora executed another hover jump, her prosthetic legs adjusting instantly to the gravitational shift. The neural interface's power draw spiked sharply on the monitoring displays. "New adaptation patterns detected," Ralph announced, tracking the interface's response. The system's developing specialized compensation protocols for aerial maneuvers. Flight medicine specialist Tiren activated his medical scanner, documenting the prosthetic's performance. The neural feedback loops are perfectly synchronized with traditional flight muscle groups. His talons tapped rapidly across the console, mapping the complex interplay of artificial and natural systems. The facility's main doors parted as Medical Integration Director Pihal arrived with 5 young Hirogen children. Their legs bore similar genetic markers to Flora's condition, their movements hesitant but eyes bright with hope. Sarah Mitchell studied the manufacturing specifications on her tablet. "Base 7 can be converted for production. We'll need to install clean room facilities and neural calibration equipment." She transmitted the requirements to her engineering team. "Power consumption exceeding safety margins," Arpaz called out from the engineering station. "The hoverjump training is pushing the system beyond its designed capacity." Marcus Walker joined him at the console. We can integrate miniaturized fusion cores with your quantum distribution network. His fingers flew across the controls, modeling the hybrid system's potential output. Energy Research Director Vitak observed their work with increasing interest. These power readings. The applications extend far beyond medical technology. Flora completed another hover sequence as Dr. Elmer arrived, the regenerative medicine expert scanner already active. The neural feedback is accelerating natural tissue recovery, Elmer noted, studying the muscle development patterns. The facility's alert system activated as long-range sensors detected the Vorax vessel. Military Commander K-Rix's voice echoed through the command channel. Defense grid activated. All sectors on enhanced alert status. Michael Roberts emerged from the Tactical Control Center, his Earth Defense Forces uniform adorned with counterintelligence insignia. Long-range dampening field engaged, he reported, activating additional surveillance countermeasures. Flight training instructor Kay Vell watched Flora's movements with professional interest. The prosthetic system enhances traditional flight stances without compromising their spiritual significance. He adjusted her position slightly, guiding her through the fourth wing blessing. Neural interface evolution rate increasing, Ralph reported, monitoring the learning algorithms. The system's developing predictive responses to specifically Hirogen aerial patterns. The appointment notification for the new Human Hirogen Medical Technology Exchange Program flashed across Ralph's screen as he calibrated the prosthetics hover stabilizers. Flora initiated another jump sequence, her movements growing more confident with each passing moment. The hybrid power core hummed as RPAS and Walker's modifications came online. Energy flowed smoothly through the enhanced distribution network, supporting Flora's increasingly complex maneuvers, while Matthew's security systems maintained their protective shield around the facility. Distributed network while Flora executed her latest hover maneuver. The prosthetics power draw stabilized at optimal levels just as construction director Enval entered the medical bay, his engineering tablet displaying preliminary renovation plans. We need to expand the rehabilitation wing, Enval announced, projecting a holographic blueprint. These 5 new patients require dedicated recovery spaces configured for their specific conditions. Ralph studied the genetic profiles of the young Hirogen patients who had arrived with PHAL. Each prosthetic will need custom calibration. Dr. Thompson, look at these genetic markers. Thompson examined the data. The variation in muscle attachment points alone requires significant modifications to our base design. He transmitted the specifications to Sarah Mitchell's production terminal. Mitchell's fingers flew across her console, implementing new fabrication protocols. Armev, I need your genetic expertise on these calibration sequences. Genetic specialist Armev connected his scanner to the production system, initiating automated genetic profile mapping. Each neural interface must precisely match the patient's hereditary muscle patterns. Flora's next hover jump drew everyone's attention. Her prosthetic legs compensated perfectly as she achieved 5 seconds of stable elevation, a feat that should have taken months more training to accomplish. Muscle regeneration exceeding projected timelines, Dr. Elmer reported, scanning Flora's leg tissue. The neural interface is accelerating natural healing processes by 47%. The facility's alert system pulsed as Captain Thomas Anderson's voice came through the command channel. USS Nighthawk on station. Our electronic warfare suite is tracking the Vorax vessel's bioscanning equipment. Security Chief Tirak activated the tactical display. Their scanning technology matches known biological research configurations. They're specifically targeting our medical data. Michael Roberts' counterintelligence systems detected the first probe attempt within minutes. Quantum encrypted firewall holding. The Vorx are using bioresonance algorithms to map our research patterns. As the security teams responded to the intrusion attempts, technical systems analyst PVOR's monitoring equipment registered an anomaly in Flora's neural interface data. The adaptive algorithms they're developing specialized gravitational compensation protocols. Flight systems engineer LPAC rushed to PVOR's station. These patterns mirror traditional flight stance adjustments. The system is learning to support ancient Hirogen aerial techniques. In the newly established production center, Mitchell and Armev calibrated the genetic scanning equipment. Each prosthetic requires 16 points of genetic synchronization, Armev explained, adjusting the fabrication parameters. The power demands of the expanded facility strained the existing infrastructure. Arpaz and Marcus Walker stood before the newly installed fusion reactor, integrating it with Hirogen quantum distribution nodes. Power efficiency increased by 32%, Walker announced, studying the output readings. The quantum network is amplifying the fusion reaction's energy transfer rate. Dr. William Harrison from the Interstellar Medical Exchange Council observed Flora's progress from the monitoring station. The neural interface's adaptation rate suggests applications far beyond our initial projections. Flora initiated her pre-flight ceremony stance, the prosthetic legs humming as they adjusted to the ritualistic movements. Flight training instructor Cavell monitored every motion, ensuring proper adherence to traditional forms. Begin safety protocol initialization, Cavell instructed. Prepare for sustained hover test. The medical bay's atmospheric controls adjusted automatically as Flora's prosthetics engaged their flight support systems. The young Hirogen's movements flowed with increasing confidence as she prepared for her first true test of sustained flight. Across the facility, production lines whirred with activity as the first batch of custom-calibrated prosthetics took shape. Each unit incorporated genetic-specific adjustments, their neural interfaces programmed to match individual patient requirements. Security systems maintained their vigilant watch, deflecting each new Vorax probe attempt while the combined human-Hirogen medical team continued their work, pushing the boundaries of what their shared technology could achieve. Advanced Healing Sciences Academy Director Katar entered the observation deck just as Flora initiated her hover sequence, his scanner already active as he documented every aspect of her performance. The prosthetic's power signature remained stable as she achieved and maintained a steady half-meter elevation, the neural interface seamlessly translating her intentions into precise gravitational adjustments. The peaceful hum of the facility's power grid faltered, sending cascading waves of darkness through the medical bay. Flora's hovering form descended gracefully as the prosthetic system automatically adjusted to the fluctuation. Power failure in sectors 7 through 12, Arpaz announced, his talons flying across the emergency console. Warning indicators flashed across the screens, revealing systematic shutdowns spreading through the facility's infrastructure. Security Chief Tirak's voice cut through the sudden burst of activity. Multiple breaches detected in maintenance subsystems. Pattern indicates Vorax infiltration team. His security teams moved with practiced efficiency, deploying sensor arrays throughout the complex. The USS Nighthawk's response came swiftly. Major Frank Cooper led his Marine security detail through the facility's main entrance, their advanced motion detection gear already active. Teams Alpha and Bravo sweep the maintenance tunnels. Charlie Team establish a defensive perimeter around the medical bay. Dr. Eric Thompson burst through the doors, his emergency systems equipment already active. We need to isolate the medical grid immediately. He connected his diagnostic tools to the nearest power junction, working in seamless coordination with KTAL at the primary distribution node. Neural interfaces holding stable, Ralph reported, studying Flora's prosthetic readings. Weight these power consumption patterns. He leaned closer to his screen, analyzing an unexpected data stream. The systems developed its own power conservation protocols. Flora executed another hover sequence, her prosthetics functioning perfectly despite operating on minimal power. Dr. Elrek rushed to document the phenomenon, his scanner capturing every aspect of the unexpected adaptation. Confirmed Vorax signatures in Environmental Control Shaft 3. Cooper's voice crackled through the security channel. His teams moved through the maintenance tunnels with practiced precision, their motion detectors revealing multiple infiltrators attempting to access critical systems. James Wilson arrived at the Environmental Control Center, immediately implementing new security protocols. Sealing all auxiliary ventilation systems, rerouting life support through secured channels. In the production facility, Sarah Mitchell directed her team with calm efficiency. Move the completed units to Sublevel 3, security escort for each transport. Hirigen technicians carefully transferred the new prosthetics, their movements swift but precise. 3 Vorax vessels entering the system, announced the tactical officer aboard the USS Nighthawk. The response came immediately as Fleet Commander Artak's squadron emerged from hyperspace, their warships taking up defensive positions alongside the human vessel. PVOR's analysis station lit up with new data. The infiltration attempts follow a specific pattern. They're targeting our regenerative technology database. His fingers moved rapidly across the console, tracking the digital intrusion attempts. In the secure medical bay, Flora continued her exercises under heightened security. Her prosthetic legs hummed softly, adapting to each power fluctuation without missing a step. Dr. Thompson monitored the isolated power grid, ensuring stable energy flow to the critical medical systems. Marcus Walker and Vilar conducted their security audit, moving methodically through each stage of the production process. These quantum encryption protocols need enhancement, Vilar noted, marking another entry in their growing list of security improvements. Implementing new firewall configurations, Walker responded, his security program spreading through the production systems. Each manufacturing stage now requires triple authentication. Major Cooper's team emerged from another maintenance tunnel. Section clear, moving to Grid Junction 15. Their motion sensors swept ahead, detecting movement patterns too precise to be maintenance drones. Above the facility, the combined human Hirigen fleet maintained their protective formation. Captain Anderson coordinated with Artak, their ship's sensors creating an overlapping detection grid that tracked every movement in the surrounding space. The emergency lighting cast everything in a red glow as Flora initiated another hover sequence. Her prosthetics responded perfectly, the neural interface compensating for each minor power fluctuation without interrupting her movements. The power fluctuation sent a cascade of alerts through the security monitors. Internal sensors flashed red as unauthorized access signatures appeared in the medical database. Database breach detected, T-Rack announced, his talons flying across the security console. Source located maintenance access point the Tasven. He transmitted the coordinates to Cooper's team. The facility's doors sealed with pneumatic hisses as Alan Davidson strode through the main entrance, carrying specialized equipment from Earth's Advanced Technology Defense Division. He connected directly into the primary security node. Initiating quantum trace protocols, Davidson said, unpacking his anti-intrusion gear. These Vorax coding signatures are more sophisticated than previous encounters. Ralph checked Flora's prosthetic readings. We need to proceed with the calibration sequence. Her muscle development is outpacing current parameters. Move the equipment to secure chamber 3, Thompson directed. K-Vel, maintain visual contact with the patient during transfer. Security teams flanked the medical equipment as technicians relocated it through reinforced corridors. Flora walked steadily between two Hirogen guards, her prosthetics adjusting automatically to the changed power levels. An explosion rocked the environmental ducts. Contact! Karix's voice crackled through the comm. Two Vorex agents neutralized in Section 4 Alpha. Captain Anderson's tactical overlay appeared on the main screen. Nighthawk sensors detecting cloaked vessels at coordinates 227 Mark 185. 5 ships in attack formation. Sarah Mitchell activated the production facility's emergency protocols. Initiating continuous manufacturing cycle. ARMEV, upload the modified genetic templates to all fabrication units. PVOR's analysis screen filled with new data patterns. Their scan frequencies target specific regenerative wavelengths. The neural interface's healing matrix is their primary objective. Arnak arrived at the security checkpoint, his combat medical kit already deployed. Establishing triage zones at these intersections. He marked positions on Cooper's tactical display. Maximum coverage for patient evacuation if needed. Flora's prosthetics hummed as Thompson initiated the calibration sequence. The secured chamber's sensors registered an unexpected energy pattern. The interface is actively masking its power signature, Dr. Kamer noted, scanning the readings. Autonomous defense protocols have emerged within the system architecture. Mark Thompson's quantum encryption modules integrated smoothly with VLAR's security grid. Encryption, mesh active. Medical data now protected by rotating quantum keys. Marcus Walker's production monitoring equipment detected a vulnerability during the neural interface's atmospheric exposure phase. Critical window identified during calibration stage 6, implementing containment field. The facility's long-range sensors lit up with multiple contacts. Additional Vorax vessels entering system, Artak reported, requesting Earth Defense Force support through Sector 9. Flora's prosthetics adjusted seamlessly as she completed another hover sequence, compensating for the security field's electromagnetic interference. The neural interface maintained stability despite the facility's heightened alert status. Davidson's equipment tracked multiple intrusion attempts across the network. They're probing for weaknesses in the medical archives. Each attack uses a different bioresonance algorithm. Cooper's team moved through the maintenance corridors, their sensors tracking movement ahead. Multiple signatures approaching Junction 15, implementing containment protocols. The production facility's new security measures activated as another batch of prosthetics entered the final calibration phase. Walker monitored each step, verifying the enhanced protection protocols as Sarah Mitchell's team maintained their accelerated manufacturing schedule. USS Nighthawk's sensors continued mapping the positions of cloaked Vorex vessels, while Artak's squadron adjusted their defensive formation. The combined fleet's sensor grid tightened, tracking every movement in the surrounding space. Flora initiated another test sequence, her prosthetics responding perfectly to each command, despite the facility's security lockdown. The neural interface's adaptive algorithms continued to evolve, developing new responses to changing conditions. Security teams positioned themselves at key points throughout the medical bay as Davidson's anti-intrusion systems engaged another wave of cyber attacks. The facility's enhanced defenses held firm, protecting the vital medical data as both human and Hirogen forces prepared for the next phase of the Vorax assault. Kamer's scanner registered new patterns in Flora's neural interface as she maintained stable hover position. The system's adaptive capabilities extend beyond initial design parameters. Each security challenge generates new response protocols. Kamer's analysis was interrupted by a flash of light outside the observation windows. 3 Vorax warships materialized from their cloaked positions, opening fire on the USS Nighthawk and the Hirogen Defense Fleet. The facility shuddered under the shockwave of the first volley. Multiple hull breaches detected, TRAC announced. Vorex ground forces advancing on all sectors. Ralph's monitoring equipment suddenly flashed red. "Doctor, we have an intrusion attempt on Flora's neural interface. They're using some kind of targeted bioelectronic cipher." Dr. Thompson rushed to the diagnostic console, his fingers racing across the controls. The attack signature is specifically calibrated to human medical protocols. They've been studying our technology. The facility's main doors slid open as Dr. Samuel Wright strode in, carrying specialized cybersecurity equipment. "Get that prosthetic system isolated immediately. Boston Medical sent me as soon as we detected the first signs of Vorex activity in this sector." Wright connected his equipment directly to Flora's diagnostic port. Implementing full-spectrum isolation protocols. No wireless connections, no external data streams. Outside the medical wing, plasma fire lit up the corridors. Major Cooper's voice crackled over the comm. "Multiple hostiles inside the perimeter. Charlie team, fall back to position Baker 3. K-Van, take your hunters and secure the east approach." The Hirogen combat specialist acknowledged, his warriors moving with deadly precision as they engaged the Vorax infiltrators. The combined human-Hirogen defense force created an overlapping field of fire, forcing the attackers to retreat from their initial assault. Arpaz and Marcus Walker sprinted through the engineering section, passing sparking power conduits. "Primary distribution node is down," Walker reported, accessing a damaged control panel. "Switching to backup systems." Flora's prosthetics pulsed with an unusual energy signature. "The neural interface," Ralph called out. "It's generating some kind of defensive pattern. The system is actively countering their intrusion attempts." Defense Research Director P. entered the monitoring station, his scanner already analyzing the phenomenon. "The adaptive algorithms have exceeded design specifications. This autonomous protection capability could revolutionize our cybernetic security protocols." Warning klaxons blared through the facility. James Wilson's voice cut through the chaos. "Atmospheric contamination detected. They're releasing some kind of specialized nanites into the ventilation system." T-Ren, the Hirogen atmospheric specialist, immediately accessed environmental controls. "Initiating emergency filtration sequence. Wilson, seal off sections 7 through 12. We must protect the calibration equipment." Sarah Mitchell directed her production team with practiced efficiency as they transferred completed prosthetic units to the underground bunker. "Move those components through the secure corridor. Security teams on point and rear guard." PVOR's security sweep revealed another hidden threat. "Data mining device located in Junction Box 15, he reported, carefully neutralizing the Vorex technology. 3 more detected in adjacent sectors. A new vessel entered orbit, the combat medical transport Helios. John Roberts established immediate contact from the ship's command center. Emergency evacuation protocols standing by. LTAC's medical shuttles are prepped for patient transfer if needed." Flora continued her hover sequence, the prosthetics performing flawlessly despite the chaos around her. Combat Systems Engineer K-Rel observed the display with growing interest. The system's performance metrics are actually improving under combat stress. "This adaptation rate surpasses our most advanced military medical technology." The facility's tactical display updated as new ships entered the system. Admiral Victor Thompson's 7th Medical Defense Fleet dropped out of hyperspace, taking up strategic positions alongside Artak's Hirogen Battle Group. "All human forces, this is Admiral Thompson. Coordinate fire control with Hirogen Tactical Command. We hold this facility at all costs." The combined fleet moved with unprecedented synchronization, their weapons finding gaps in the Vorax ship's defenses. On the ground, Cooper's Marines and K-Van's hunters pushed back against another wave of infiltrators, their coordinated tactics proving devastating against the Vorax assault teams. "Doctor." Wright's isolation protocols held firm as another cyber attack washed against Flora's neural interface. The prosthetic system's self-defensive algorithms evolved with each attempt, becoming more resilient with every blocked intrusion. Through it all, Flora maintained perfect control of her enhanced limbs, the neural interface's performance suggesting capabilities that neither human nor Hirogen engineers had anticipated. The prosthetic technology they had created was proving to be far more adaptable than anyone had imagined. A series of coordinated explosions lit up space as Admiral Thompson's fleet engaged the Vorax vessels. The USS Nighthawk's electronic warfare systems activated, flooding the battlefield with precisely targeted interference patterns. Artak's Hirogen vessels launched a synchronized barrage, their weapons striking the enemy ship's shield generators with surgical precision. "Direct hits confirmed," reported Captain Anderson from the Nighthawk's bridge. Two Vorax warships dropping to sublight, shields failing. The enemy vessels retreated toward the system's outer boundary, trailing plasma from their damaged hulls. But before the defenders could capitalize on their success, alarms blared throughout the medical facility. "Energy spike detected," Ralph called out, his eyes fixed on the diagnostic display. Multiple electromagnetic pulses activating across the complex. Chief Engineer Peter Davidson burst through the medical bay doors, his emergency response gear already deployed. "Sabotage devices," he announced, connecting his equipment to the nearest terminal. They planted them during their first infiltration, implementing emergency shielding protocols. The devices activated with a high-pitched whine, bathing the facility in waves of electromagnetic energy designed to disrupt neural interfaces. Several prosthetic units in the storage area sparked and went dark, but Flora's system maintained steady operation. Ralph's monitoring equipment registered an unexpected pattern. "Doctor, look at these readings." Flora's prosthetics aren't just resisting the interference, they're generating some kind of protective field. Pivor moved closer, his scanner tracking the phenomenon. The field extends approximately 3 meters. Other prosthetic units within range are maintaining full functionality. The facility shook as Colonel Martinez's dropships landed on the exterior pad. The 1st Special Operations Medical Security Battalion deployed in perfect formation, their specialized anti-infiltration equipment already active. Martinez strode into the command center, where Hirogen Security Chief T-Rack awaited. "My teams are ready to integrate with your security grid," Martinez said, bringing up a tactical display. "We'll establish overlapping coverage using both technologies." In the manufacturing center, Sarah Mitchell's team worked frantically to stabilize the damaged calibration equipment. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits as Dr. Thompson and Kaylan assessed the destruction. "We can bypass the primary calibration array," Kaylan said, removing a panel from a Hirogen medical console. "These quantum measurement nodes will interface with your remaining systems." Thompson nodded, already reconfiguring the human components. "Adjusting power flow now. We should achieve 90% efficiency with this setup." A new vessel entered orbit, the massive Hirogen command ship carrying military medical commander Trek. The commander transported directly to the medical bay, arriving just as Flora completed another mobility test sequence. "Impressive," Trek observed as Flora navigated a complex obstacle course while electromagnetic pulses continued to bombard the facility. "The system's performance exceeds our most advanced combat medical units." Karel and Marcus Walker raced through the facility's maintenance tunnels, tracking power fluctuations to their source. "The Vorax are targeting these junction points," Walker said, rewiring a damaged power node. "We need to establish alternate pathways through the Hirogen quantum grid." "These adaptive protocols from the prosthetic systems," Karel noted, studying the power management data. "They could stabilize the entire network, implementing new routing algorithms now." The facility's long-range sensors registered a massive energy signature at the system's edge. Technical systems analyst Pivor enhanced the readings, revealing a Vorax-heavy assault carrier emerging from hyperspace. Admiral Thompson's voice crackled through the command channel. All units, prepare for enhanced defensive operations. Earth's Rapid Response Fleet has been notified. Michael Harrison arrived at the computer core, his quantum encryption equipment already detecting multiple intrusion attempts. "They're using attack vectors I've never seen," he reported, fingers flying across his console. "Implementing new security protocols. Whatever they're using, it's beyond standard Vorax technology." Flora continued her testing sequence as the battle raged around her, each movement precise and controlled despite the chaos. The neural interface's protective field expanded slightly with each new electromagnetic pulse, its adaptive algorithms evolving in real time. Combat raged through the facility's outer sectors as Martinez's special operations teams coordinated with Hirogen hunters, pushing back waves of Vorax infiltrators. The combined defensive line held firm, protecting the vital medical research that could revolutionize both species' approach to combat medicine. Tactical medical specialist Arvor arrived at the observation station, his attention fixed on Flora's performance metrics. "The system's adaptation rate is unprecedented," he noted, sharing his findings with Defense Research Director Pimao. "This could transform our entire approach to battlefield medicine." The Vorax assault carrier launched its first wave of attack craft as Admiral Thompson's fleet adjusted their formation. The next phase of the battle was about to begin. The Vorax assault carrier unleashed its devastating payload, a massive electromagnetic pulse that lit up the system like an artificial star. The wave of energy rolled toward the facility, threatening to disable every piece of electronic equipment in its path. "EMP strike incoming," Wilson called out from his monitoring station. "Impact in 3, 2. The pulse slammed into the facility's outer defenses. Systems flickered and failed throughout the complex, but in the medical bay, Flora's prosthetics pulsed with an intense blue glow. The energy emanating from her neural interface expanded outward, creating a dome of protective energy that preserved functionality of the nearby medical equipment. "Remarkable," Dr. Wright said, checking his readings. "The prosthetics aren't just resisting the pulse, they're actively generating a counterfield." The facility's main doors opened as Dr. Richard Bennett rushed in, his specialized electromagnetic monitoring equipment already collecting data. "I saw the energy patterns from the landing pad. This shouldn't be possible." A series of explosions rocked the outer walls. Through the security feeds, Colonel Martinez watched as Vorax soldiers seemed to step through solid barriers. "Phase-shifting technology detected," he announced, activating his team's motion tracking systems. All units switched to enhanced detection protocols. T-RAC moved swiftly through the security center, integrating human thermal imaging arrays with Hirogen biodetection fields. Adjusting sensor wavelength to match their phase variants. Target lock established. The combined detection grid illuminated the Vorax infiltrators like beacons. Martinez's teams and T-RAC's hunters caught the phase-shifted enemies in devastating crossfire, their coordinated attacks striking the attackers mid-transition. In the manufacturing center, a massive breach tore through the outer wall. The neural calibration array sparked and died as debris rained down around it. Sarah Mitchell grabbed essential components while evacuation alarms blared. "Kavor, help me salvage the quantum measurement nodes," she called out. "We can rebuild a temporary production line in sublevel 3. The Hirogen technical director quickly disconnected critical components. Together, they transported the salvaged equipment through emergency access tunnels to the reinforced basement level. Within minutes, they began integrating human and Hirogen medical systems into a makeshift production facility. The arrival of a heavily armed transport brought Brigadier General Michael Harrison and his Medical Technology Defense Corps to the facility. His teams deployed prototype shield generators at key points throughout the complex. Nanite contamination detected in Sectors 4 and 7, Harrison reported, activating the new defensive equipment. The shield generators hummed to life, creating overlapping fields of protection around sensitive medical systems. K-Rel's analysis station lit up with new data as Flora completed another testing sequence. The neural interface's response time exceeds theoretical limits, he said, showing his findings to Military Research Director VTAC. It's developing predictive defense algorithms autonomously. The facility's main reactor emitted a dangerous whine as hidden Vorax devices triggered cascading failures throughout the power grid. Arpaz and Marcus Walker raced through engineering, rerouting critical systems. The prosthetic's electromagnetic field, Walker said, studying the power fluctuations. We can use it to stabilize the distribution network. He quickly modified power conduits to channel the protective energy, creating a natural buffer against the spreading failures. Admiral Thompson's fleet scored direct hits against the first wave of Vorax ships, forcing them into retreat, but PVOR's long-range scans revealed a more troubling development. Additional Vorax vessels gathering at coordinates 7-3 Markfor, PVOR reported. Energy signatures suggest at least 3 heavy carriers. Fleet Commander Artak opened a secure channel to the Hirogen home fleet, requesting immediate reinforcement, multiple hostile capital ships preparing for coordinated assault. PVOR's analysis of Vorax attack patterns revealed their true objective. They're attempting capture, not destruction, he explained to Dr. Thompson. Every strike has avoided critical damage to prosthetic storage areas. Thompson immediately began installing emergency data purge systems throughout the facility. If they breach our final defenses, we'll need to protect our research at all costs. Defense Research Director Pemal burst into the command center, clutching a data tablet. I've decoded their secure transmissions, he announced. The Vorax are desperate for this technology. A genetic disorder is decimating their population. They believe our neural interface developments could provide a cure. Military Commander K-Rick studied the decoded data. Their methods have made peaceful resolution impossible. Prepare for intensified assault. The facility's sensors registered new energy spikes as the gathered Vorax fleet began powering up their weapons. Flora continued her mobility exercises in the protected medical bay, her prosthetics protective field growing stronger with each passing moment. Military Commander K-Rick studied the decoded transmission data, his fingers moving across the tactical display. This changes our defensive calculations. Their desperation makes them unpredictable. A temporary stillness settled over the facility as the Vorax fleet adjusted their formation, their weapons powering down to standby levels. Dr. Richard Bennett seized this opportunity to analyze the unusual energy patterns emanating from Flora's prosthetics. Look at these harmonic frequencies, Bennett said, gesturing to his monitoring equipment. The display showed waves of electromagnetic energy pulsing between Flora's system and nearby prosthetic units. The protective field is creating a synchronized network. Kaylan moved to the adjacent terminal, tracking the energy flow. The connected units are amplifying the original field strength by 37%. The facility's alert system activated as new contacts appeared on the long-range sensors. Colonel Derek Stevens transported directly to the command center, his Advanced Medical Security Division already deploying specialized equipment across key access points. Shadow Core signatures detected, Stevens announced, bringing up detailed tactical overlays. Their stealth systems leave distinct quantum distortions, activating countermeasures now. The air shimmered as Stevens' teams activated new biosignature detection grids. The advanced sensors interfaced seamlessly with the existing Hirigen security network, creating overlapping fields of detection that illuminated even the most sophisticated cloaking technology. Dr. Thomas Anderson's mobile production units arrived through the facility's reinforced cargo bays. The compact manufacturing systems hummed to life, their adaptive fabrication arrays ready to maintain prosthetic production regardless of battle damage. Each unit operates independently, Anderson explained to Sarah Mitchell, demonstrating the system's rapid reconfiguration capabilities. Complete neural interface assembly in under 6 minutes. ARPAZ's engineering station lit up with new data as Flora completed another testing sequence. The readings showed her prosthetic system absorbing and converting electromagnetic energy from nearby Vorax weapon signatures. The neural interface is adapting to hostile energy patterns, ARPAZ called out. KREL, we can replicate this effect across all active units. KREL and Marcus Walker immediately began modifying the facility's prosthetic systems, their fingers flying across engineering consoles as they integrated the new defensive protocols. Each successfully upgraded unit added another layer to the growing protective network. James Wilson established his secure medical bunker in Sublevel 2, combining Earth's most advanced patient protection systems with Hirigen medical stasis technology. The reinforced chamber activated just as Vorax phase-shifted explosives detonated against the medical wing's outer walls. Patient secure, Wilson reported as the blast wave dissipated harmlessly against the bunker's hybrid shielding. Life support systems holding steady. Dr. Robert Thompson arrived at the manufacturing center, his secure production protocols already identifying vulnerabilities in the neural interface calibration process. The Vorax are tracking quantum variances during final alignment, he said, implementing new encryption algorithms. We'll mask the signature using rotating Hirigen shield frequencies. Admiral Thompson's fleet moved into position as Vorax ships attempted to establish their blockade. Human destroyers seamlessly integrated with Hirigen cruisers, their combined weapon systems creating interlocking fields of fire around the planet's orbital approaches. Target locked, Fleet Commander Artak announced as the first Vorax vessel strayed too close to the defensive perimeter, executing synchronized strike pattern. The unified human Hirigen fleet opened fire, their coordinated attack overwhelming the Vorax ship's shields. The damaged vessel retreated, trailing plasma from multiple hull breaches. T-RAX security feeds captured Shadow Corps operatives attempting to breach the facility's southeastern perimeter. Colonel Martinez's teams moved swiftly into position, their motion trackers syncing with Hirigen biodetection arrays. Multiple infiltrators detected in Sector 7, Martinez reported, engaging with combined weapons fire. The Shadow Corps' advanced stealth systems proved inadequate against the hybrid defense network. Caught between human and Hirigen security teams, the elite Vorax units fell back, leaving behind sophisticated infiltration equipment. Flora continued her mobility exercises, her prosthetic system's protective field expanding to shield nearby medical stations. The neural interface automatically adjusted to compensate for structural vibrations as distant explosions rocked the facility. Pivor and Dr. Thompson configured the expanding electromagnetic defense network, establishing protected zones for critical medical operations. The shielded areas grew stronger with each Vorax attack, the recycled energy feeding back into the protective field. New contact alerts sounded as additional Vorax vessels entered the system. The massive ships moved into attack formation, their weapon signatures indicating another assault wave was imminent. Intelligence Officer Marcus Reed burst into the command center, interrupting the tactical planning session. Admiral, urgent intelligence from Earth's Medical Intelligence Division. He transmitted detailed files to the main display. The Vorac's genetic disorder its terminal. Their entire civilization faces extinction within 3 generations. Admiral Thompson studied the projected casualty models. This explains their aggressive tactics. They're fighting for survival, not conquest. A thunderous explosion rocked the facility as K-Rel's voice came through the command channel. Admiral, engineering has detected an anomaly in Flora's electromagnetic field. His tone shifted from urgent to intrigued. The prosthetic's protective field it responds to our shield generators. Arpaz and Marcus Walker immediately began modifying the nearest Hirigen shield emitter. The generator hummed as they integrated it with Flora's prosthetic frequency. Energy output increased by 300%, Walker reported, checking the readings. We can replicate this across the entire facility. Military Research Director Vitak observed the hybrid shield's performance metrics. This integration could revolutionize medical protection throughout Hirigen space. The facility's alert system blared. Colonel Stevens' enhanced biosignature grid detected phase-shifted signatures moving through the outer walls. Security feeds showed Vorac's Shadow Core operatives carrying specialized extraction devices. They're targeting active neural interfaces, Stevens announced, directing his teams to intercept. Those tools are designed for live component removal. Emergency lights flashed as Vorac's cyber warfare units launched a coordinated attack on the manufacturing computers. Michael Torres, newly arrived from Earth's Advanced Technology Protection Division, quickly implemented quantum-encrypted protocols across the production networks. Cybernetic intrusion contained, Torres reported, implementing rotating encryption keys. In the medical bay, Flora completed another testing sequence as Vorac's electronic warfare signals saturated the facility. PVOR monitored the prosthetic's response, documenting how it adapted to and countered each new attack vector. The facility's long-range sensors registered a massive energy signature. Vorac's supercarrier detected, Artak announced. War Talon moving to intercept under Battle Master Kavek's command. Sarah Mitchell rushed between backup manufacturing stations, coordinating with T-Ren to establish redundant production lines. They're targeting our calibration sequence, she explained, analyzing attack pattern data. We need distributed manufacturing capability. Dr. James Morrison's teams installed new power conduits throughout the facility, integrating Earth's fusion reactors with Hirigen quantum distribution nodes. The hybrid grid stabilized, providing steady power to both defense systems and production units. Dr. Harris, Admiral Thompson called out as the Boston Medical Technologies researcher entered the command center. Your analysis of the prosthetic's regenerative capabilities. The neural interface's healing properties could be modified to target genetic disorders, Harris explained, displaying his preliminary findings. With proper adaptation, we might develop a treatment for the Vorac's condition. Arnak's medical monitoring station recorded Flora's latest performance data. The prosthetic system maintained perfect functionality despite the intense electronic warfare and physical attacks battering the facility. The supercarrier's arrival triggered automated defense protocols. Admiral Thompson watched as the combined human Hirigen fleet moved into formation, establishing overlapping fields of fire around the planet's orbital approaches. Through the command center's windows, the massive form of the War Talon cast its shadow across the facility as it took up position in low orbit. The facility's sensors registered new energy spikes as the Vorax supercarrier powered up its main weapons array. Tor's quantum encryption protocols identified another wave of cyber attacks targeting the manufacturing systems. On the security feeds, Shadow Core operatives regrouped for another infiltration attempt, their phase-shift generators creating rippling distortions in the air. The rippling distortions from Shadow Core phase-shift generators scattered across the facility's perimeter as Dr. Harris burst through the command center doors, clutching a data tablet. Admiral Flora's prosthetics, they're not just adapting, they're regenerating cellular tissue. Admiral Thompson turned from the tactical display. Explain. The neural interface has developed autonomous healing protocols, Harris said, transmitting detailed scans to the main screen. The implications for treating genetic disorders. The facility rocked as the Vorax supercarrier unleashed its first barrage. 50 combat shuttles poured from its launch bays in precise attack formation. Multiple hostile contacts, Artak announced. Implementing defense pattern. The Tasven. Admiral Thompson activated the fleet-wide command channel. USS Nighthawk, commence electronic warfare operations. All Hirogen vessels, engage hostile craft directly. The space around the facility erupted in weapons fire as human and Hirogen ships executed their coordinated defense. The Nighthawk's advanced jamming arrays lit up the battlefield with invisible waves of electromagnetic interference, scattering the Vorax formation. Security feeds displayed shadow core teams materializing through solid walls, their face-shifted forms ghostly in the emergency lighting. Colonel Stevens' voice crackled through the command channel. Counterphase units deploying now. K-Van's warriors moved with practiced efficiency, establishing fortified positions around critical medical sections. Their hybrid weapons, combining Earth's latest counterphase technology with Hirogen targeting systems, caught the infiltrators in devastating crossfire. In engineering, alarms blared as power fluctuations threatened the main reactor. Arpaz's fingers flew across control surfaces, while Marcus Walker analyzed the energy patterns emanating from Flora's medical bay. The prosthetics field is stabilizing power draws, Walker said. We can use this. He transmitted the frequency data to Arpaz's terminal. Dr. Robert Turner arrived at the engineering station, his Earth Defense Force credentials displayed prominently. Show me the stabilization patterns, he ordered, immediately grasping the potential applications. The manufacturing wing's quantum-encrypted doors sealed as Sarah Mitchell detected unauthorized access attempts. She nodded to Michael Thompson, who activated the new security protocols. Hirogen quantum barriers shimmered into existence around critical production equipment. Production lines secure, Mitchell reported, implementing rotating encryption keys. The massive form of the war Talon descended through the atmosphere, its weapon systems already engaging Vorax forces. Battle Master Kavek's tactical transmissions filled the command channel as his dreadnought established orbital superiority. P-Vor's monitoring station captured unprecedented data as Flora's prosthetics adapted to each new Vorax attack pattern. The neural interface's defensive protocols evolved in real time, countering electronic warfare attacks before they fully formed. Mark Thompson studied the combat performance metrics, his military medical division experience immediately recognizing the breakthrough. These adaptation rates exceed anything in our database. Long-range sensors detected new contacts at the system's edge. 2 Vorax heavy carriers emerged from faster-than-light travel, their specialized medical extraction equipment clearly visible on tactical scans. Earth's Rapid Response Fleet is inbound, Admiral Thompson announced. Time to arrival, 17 minutes. Artak's Hirogen vessels adjusted their defensive formation, creating overlapping fields of fire around critical approach vectors. The War Talon's primary weapons charged, ready to engage the incoming carriers. Dr. James Cooper rushed between production stations, implementing new security protocols in the manufacturing process. Each prosthetic unit now contained quantum-encrypted identification markers, preventing unauthorized duplication attempts. Military Medical Commander Hayes arrived at the command center as another wave of attacks battered the facility's shields. He immediately began coordinating with K-Tau, integrating human and Hirogen medical defense strategies. Their genetic disorder explains everything, Hayes said, studying the tactical display. But this technology could save their entire species. Emergency power systems activated as another barrage from the Vorax supercarrier impacted the facility's outer defenses. Flora's prosthetic field pulsed in response, its stabilizing effect spreading through the power grid. The neural interface's regenerative capabilities continued to evolve, each adaptation bringing them closer to a potential breakthrough in treating the Vorax condition. The facility's sensors registered new energy signatures as the heavy carriers moved into attack position. Shadow Corps teams regrouped for another infiltration attempt, while Vorax cyber warfare units probed for weaknesses in the quantum-encrypted defense grid. A flash of insight crossed Dr. Harris's face as he analyzed the latest data streams from Flora's neural interface. Admiral, these readings confirm it. The prosthetics regenerative protocols, they're not just healing tissue, they're rewriting damaged genetic sequences. He transmitted detailed molecular scans to the command center's main display, highlighting a cascade of cellular repairs occurring at the genetic level. The implication struck Admiral Thompson immediately as he studied the complex data patterns. The facility shuddered as another volley from the Vorax supercarrier impacted the shields. Through the command center windows, the War Talon's massive form shifted position, its weapon arrays tracking incoming hostile craft. "Get Dr. Miller up here," Thompson ordered. His genetic adaptation expertise might be crucial. Dr. Thomas Miller arrived minutes later, his specialized analysis equipment already interfacing with the facility's medical networks. His fingers flew across the diagnostic panels as he examined Flora's neural interface data. "These adaptive algorithms," Miller said, "they're creating a templating effect we could modify to target genetic deterioration. With proper calibration," the security alert klaxon cut through his explanation. Colonel Stevens' voice crackled over the tactical channel, multiple breach points detected. Shadow Corps teams using advanced phase shift technology. Security feeds showed ghostly figures materializing through supposedly solid walls. T-RAC's defensive network activated automatically, filling corridors with overlapping sensor grids as Colonel Stevens deployed his special operations teams. "Counterphase units moving to engage," Stevens reported. "K-Van, secure the medical center." K-Van's warriors took up positions around Flora's medical bay, their hybrid weapons humming with counterphase energy. The first Shadow Corps team materialized directly into their prepared kill zone. In the ensuing firefight, one Shadow Corps commander fell, his phase shift device damaged. Under questioning, his voice carried equal measures of desperation and commitment. "Our people are dying faster than projected. We need the technology." Sarah Mitchell's voice cut through the command channel, power fluctuations in manufacturing, saboteurs targeting the grid. She worked frantically alongside Nuluriv Jack Wilson, their hands moving in practice coordination across power distribution controls. Wilson's expertise with fusion systems complemented Mitchell's knowledge of the production facility. "Rerouting through secondary nodes," Wilson announced. "Integrating Hirigen quantum stabilizers." The power grid stabilized as Robert Anderson arrived with his medical security teams. They deployed specialized equipment throughout the facility, creating a web of biowarfare countermeasures. "Detecting viral agents in sectors 7 through 9, Anderson reported. "Containment protocols active." PVOR's monitoring station captured unprecedented data as Flora's prosthetic system generated localized defensive fields. The neural interface created precise electromagnetic barriers that deflected Vorax electronic warfare attempts. Mark Thompson studied the defense patterns intently. "These protective fields could revolutionize combat medicine. The adaptation rate is remarkable." Colonel Martinez's 2nd Medical Defense Battalion arrived in waves, their dropships threading through the ongoing space battle. They quickly established a hybrid defense network, combining human stealth detection systems with Hirigen energy shields. Dr. Richard Cooper from Earth's Interspecies Medical Exchange analyzed the data flowing from Dr. Harris's research team. We could modify these regenerative protocols, he explained, examining the neural interface readings. Create a treatment that doesn't require direct prosthetic implementation. Long-range sensors lit up with new contacts. 3 Vorax heavy carriers emerged from the system's edge, their medical extraction equipment clearly visible on tactical scans. Admiral Thompson activated the fleet-wide command channel as the swift blade moved into defensive formation. All units, prepare for coordinated defense. Nighthawk, commence electronic warfare operations. The USS Nighthawk's advanced jamming arrays activated, sending waves of electromagnetic interference across the battlefield. Around the facility, human and Hirigen ships adjusted their positions, preparing for the coming assault. Flora's neural interface continued its work, each successful adaptation providing new data for the research teams. The prosthetic's protective field pulsed steadily, its effects rippling through nearby medical systems as the combined fleet prepared to face the approaching Vorax armada. Dr. Miller's hands trembled slightly as he analyzed the latest data stream from Flora's neural interface. Admiral, these regenerative protocols, we can modify them to directly target genetic degradation. The prosthetic system isn't just healing tissue anymore, it's creating a template for genetic repair. The facility's tactical display flickered as Dr. Alexandra Thompson materialized via quantum transport, her specialized xenogenetic equipment already scanning Flora's medical data. Her practiced eyes darted across multiple holographic readouts. The adaptation algorithms are perfect, she said, interfacing her equipment with the medical network. We can develop a treatment protocol that addresses their condition without compromising the core technology. A proximity alert sounded. Through the armored windows, the Swift Justice emerged from faster-than-light travel, its weapons already tracking incoming Vorax vessels. Commander Elrex's transmission came through clear and precise. Admiral Thompson, our intelligence confirms the Vorax supercarrier contains a medical research facility. They intend to reverse engineer any captured technology immediately. The Admiral adjusted the tactical display, repositioning the defense fleet to limit the supercarrier's maneuverability. Strategic Operations Report. Michael Foster stepped forward from the newly arrived Earth Defense Intelligence Contingent. Sir, we've identified a radical faction in Vorax leadership actively blocking diplomatic channels. They fear losing military advantage if their condition becomes treatable. However, moderate leaders are seeking ways to end this conflict. The deck vibrated as Combat Systems Engineer Karel burst into the command center. Admiral, Flora's electromagnetic field, we can replicate it using modified shield generators. His fingers flew across the engineering console, displaying simulation data. RPAS initiated the modifications immediately, implementing field network now. The facility's defensive screens shifted frequency, creating overlapping barriers that pulsed with the same energy signature as Flora's prosthetics. John Walker from Earth's Defense Research Division studied the readings intently. These adaptations could revolutionize medical installation defense across the sector. The tactical display lit up with new contacts. Multiple Vorax vessels targeting our supply lines, Captain Reynolds announced as the USS Mercy dropped out of FTL nearby. Mobile manufacturing facilities online, coordinating with Supply Master Qatar now. Shadow Corps teams struck without warning. Face-shifted figures materialized throughout the power distribution network, but Colonel Stevens was ready. His special operations teams deployed new counter-infiltration devices, filling the corridors with precisely calibrated energy fields. Prisoners secured, Stevens reported. Their equipment reveals plans for a massive assault coordinated with the supercarrier's main weapon. PVOR's monitoring station detected an unusual pattern in Flora's latest adaptations. The prosthetic system's protective field it could be scaled up. He transmitted the data to Marcus Turner, who had just arrived from Boston Medical Technologies. Turner's eyes widened. With these modifications, we could create a facility-wide medical shield generator. Sarah Mitchell's voice cut through the command channel. Vorx attacks are following a pattern. They're targeting our calibration sequence, establishing backup stations now. She worked alongside Robert Wilson, their movements synchronized as they reconfigured the production layout. Young Hirigan patients arrived in the medical bay, their conditions requiring immediate prosthetic fittings. The new calibration stations activated smoothly, maintaining production despite the ongoing attacks. Biowarfare alarms blared in multiple sectors. Major Harrison deployed his 3rd Medical Protection Battalion with practiced efficiency. Medical containment fields active, he reported, as specialized equipment created an interlocking grid of protective barriers. The neural interface's readings continued to evolve on the main display. Each new adaptation generated fresh tactical data as the combined fleet adjusted their formation around the facility. Through the command center windows, the Swift Justice's weapon arrays tracked the Vorax supercarrier's movement. Its targeting systems locked onto the section containing the hidden medical research facility. Flora's prosthetic field pulsed steadily, its regenerative protocols now working in concert with Dr. Alexandra Thompson's specialized treatment algorithms. The modified shield generators created visible ripples in the air as they replicated her system's protective properties across the facility's defensive grid. The modified shield generator's ripple effect stabilized as Dr. Alexandra Thompson's fingers danced across her diagnostic panel. Her eyes widened as new data streams confirmed her analysis. "Admiral, the synthesis is complete," she announced, transmitting detailed molecular scans to the command center display. "We've successfully adapted Flora's regenerative protocols into a viable treatment system." Initial test results flooded the screens as the Secure Medical Lab's automated systems processed tissue samples. Cellular reconstruction patterns matched theoretical models with unprecedented accuracy. A quantum transport signature announced the arrival of Dr. Victor Hammond, his diplomatic credentials clearing security protocols instantly. He studied the test results with practiced efficiency. "This could change everything," Hammond said, interfacing his diplomatic systems with the facility network. "I'm authorized to open direct channels with moderate Vorax factions immediately." The tactical display shifted as several Vorax vessels broke formation, moving to neutral positions away from the supercarrier's battle group. Admiral Thompson nodded to Communications Officer Chen. USS Nighthawk, established secure channel to designated Vorax vessels. Full encryption protocols. The Nighthawk's specialized communication arrays activated, creating a protected frequency corridor through the battlefield's electronic warfare environment. Security feeds showed Shadow Corps teams intensifying their efforts to breach the medical center. Multiple phase signatures detected, TRAC reported from his security station, targeting critical research sectors. Colonel Stevens' voice cut through the tactical channel, deploying quantum lock barriers now. New defensive equipment hummed to life throughout the facility. The combined human Hirigan shield technology created visible distortion fields at key intersections. 3 Shadow Corps infiltrators materialized directly into a barrier field, their phase-shift devices shorting out instantly. In the manufacturing wing, Sarah Mitchell initiated emergency production protocols. Dr. Paul Richardson's specialized fabrication units activated automatically, their assembly lines reconfiguring for simplified regenerative components. "First batch of modified treatment systems processing," Mitchell reported. production efficiency at 93%. The facility shuttered as Brigadier General Wright's command shuttle docked. His first medical technology protection force deployed rapidly, establishing new defensive positions with specialized equipment designed to counter the supercarrier's main weapon. PVOR's monitoring station captured unusual electromagnetic patterns emanating from Flora's neural interface. Detection countermeasure protocols activating, he announced, transferring the data to KREL's engineering station. KREL integrated the new patterns into the facility's defense grid, implementing facility-wide protection field, all sectors secure against unauthorized data extraction. The Hirogen battlecruiser Stalwart Hunter dropped out of FTL, its massive form sliding into position alongside the Swift Justice. Fleet Commander HTAC's sensor data revealed 3 Vorx stealth ships attempting to maneuver behind the facility. USS Mercy, adjusting supply route coordinates, Captain Reynolds transmitted, implementing new security protocols. In the research center, Dr. Harris isolated a critical sequence in Flora's prosthetic adaptations. Dr. Robert Turner arrived moments later, his medical integration equipment already processing the new data. Implementing adaptive protocols across all medical systems, Turner announced as his team worked to fortify the facility's healthcare network. The War Talon's weapons locked onto the approaching supercarrier as Battle Master Kavek coordinated with human fleet elements. Arpaz and Marcus Walker activated emergency power systems throughout the facility, creating redundant networks to protect vital medical operations. Flora's prosthetic field pulsed with increasing strength, its protective barrier expanding to interact with the facility's modified defenses. Dr. Alexandra Thompson's synthesized treatment continued showing positive results in the secure lab, even as the tactical situation outside grew more complex. Through the command center windows, the supercarrier's weapon arrays began powering up, while several Vorx vessels maintained their neutral positions, waiting for diplomatic channels to stabilize. Open diplomatic channels. Dr. William Harris burst into the command center, his face flushed with excitement as he waved a datapad displaying test results. 78% success rate in Vorx tissue samples, he announced, transmitting the data to the main display. The modified genetic treatment works. We've achieved stable cellular reconstruction across multiple test sequences. Ambassador James Crawford materialized via quantum transport before Harris finished speaking. His diplomatic credentials triggered automatic security clearances as he moved to study the test data. This changes our negotiating position significantly, opening diplomatic channels to moderate factions now. The facility rocked as the Vorx supercarrier launched its assault. 70 combat vessels broke from its shadow, their weapon systems already tracking defensive positions. Multiple hostile contacts, Battle Master Kavek announced through the command network, implementing prepared defense pattern Alpha 7. The USS Nighthawk and War Talon moved in perfect synchronization, creating a defensive screen as Admiral Thompson adjusted fleet positions. Through the command center windows, 6 Vorx cruisers maintained their distance from the battle, their communication arrays transmitting technical data about the supercarrier's vulnerabilities. Security Chief T-Rax console lit up with multiple warnings. Shadow Core signatures detected in Sectors 7, 12, and 15. Unknown access points breached. Colonel Stevens' voice crackled through the tactical channel, special operations teams deploying with quantum phase detection gear. His units moved swiftly through the facility's corridors, specialized sensors revealing previously invisible infiltrators attempting to reach the prosthetic production center. Prisoner secured, Stevens reported minutes later. Retrieved equipment shows they're carrying specialized extraction devices designed for prosthetic removal. In the manufacturing wing, Sarah Mitchell's fingers flew across production control interfaces, implementing quantum fabrication adaptations now. Her screens displayed new efficiency ratings as the regenerative components assembled at unprecedented speeds. Robert Anderson stepped through a security checkpoint, his Boston Medical Technologies credentials clearing him for immediate access to the production facility. Beginning mass production upgrades. We'll have treatment systems ready for distribution within hours. The deck plates vibrated as Colonel Michael Harrison's shuttles docked. His 4th Medical Technology Protection Battalion deployed with practiced efficiency, their advanced shield generators creating visible layers of protection around critical medical sections. Shield grid online, Harrison announced, integrating Hirigen defense protocols. KREL's engineering station detected unusual energy patterns emanating from Flora's prosthetic. Sir, the system is generating localized neutralization fields against Vorax bioagents. Dr. Thomas Wright arrived from Earth's Defense Medical Division, immediately connecting his specialized equipment to study the phenomenon, beginning facility-wide adaptation of protective capabilities. Long-range sensors blared new warnings. 3 massive signatures appeared at the system's edge, Vorax heavy carriers under hardline control. Admiral Thompson opened a priority channel to Earth's Rapid Response Fleet, while Artak's Hirigen battle cruisers moved to reinforce orbital positions. The facility's manufacturing systems flickered as Vorax cyber attacks struck their networks. Mark Davidson emerged from a secure transport pad, his quantum-encrypted protocols already streaming into the facility's computers. Implementing production security measures, manufacturing capacity unchanged. Flora's prosthetic continued evolving, its neural interface displaying increasingly sophisticated responses to each Vorax attempt at disruption. ARPAS documented the system's adaptive capabilities as Military Medical Commander Peter Roberts arrived to begin treatment protocol modifications. The tactical display updated with new fleet positions as the combined human Hirigen forces adjusted their defensive formation. Through the armored windows, the supercarrier's massive form turned to bring its main weapon to bear on the facility, while the neutral Vorax vessels transmitted another burst of tactical data about its vulnerabilities. Ambassador Crawford's quantum-encrypted channel activated, establishing direct contact with the moderate Vorax vessels. Initiating diplomatic protocols, Crawford announced, his fingers moving across the specialized communication interface, receiving confirmation of their willingness to evaluate treatment options. Military Medical Commander Peter Roberts transferred the first batch of modified genetic samples into specialized containment units. Treatment samples ready for controlled demonstration. Molecular stability at optimal levels. A brilliant flash of light announced the arrival of Fleet Admiral Marcus Sterling's battle group. The USS Hippocrates, USS Pasteur, and USS Salk emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, their advanced medical protection arrays already deploying. Implementing satellite defense network, Sterling transmitted through the command channel. Integrating electromagnetic shielding patterns from Flora's prosthetic data. The facility's tactical display updated as dozens of specialized satellites activated around the perimeter. Each unit generated protective fields that mimicked Flora's unique electromagnetic signature. The Vorax supercarrier's main weapon system powered up, emitting a concentrated pulse of electromagnetic energy. KREL's modified defense grid activated automatically. The attack dissipated harmlessly against the protective barrier, creating ripples of blue-green energy across the shield surface. Direct hit neutralized, KREL reported. Shield integrity at 100%. Dr. Howard Thompson's quantum transport signature materialized in the manufacturing wing. His team immediately began installing portable fabrication units in predetermined locations throughout the facility, establishing redundant production facilities. Thompson transmitted as his specialized equipment came online, implementing emergency manufacturing protocols. Sarah Mitchell's screens displayed rapidly increasing production metrics as the new systems activated. Manufacturing capacity increased by 300%, all systems operating at peak efficiency. Security alerts flashed across T-Rac's console as Shadow Core teams attempted to breach the facility's outer defenses. Their face-shifted forms flickered between dimensions, biowarfare dispensers visible on their combat harnesses. Multiple hostile contacts detected, T-Rac announced. Bioagent signatures identified. Colonel Stevens' response teams moved with practiced precision, activating quantum-lock containment fields at key intersections. Major Alexander Ross's Biodefense Battalion deployed specialized filtration units throughout the facility's ventilation system. Containment protocols active, Ross transmitted. Air purification systems online. The orbital battle intensified as 3 Vorx heavy carriers launched their assault. Admiral Thompson's tactical network lit up with targeting data from the moderate Vorx vessels. USS Nighthawk, initiating electronic warfare protocols, Thompson ordered. War Talon, execute attack pattern Delta. The War Talon's engines flared as it accelerated toward the carrier group, its weapon systems precisely targeting the shield frequencies provided by their Vorax allies. The Nighthawk's specialized systems created a web of electronic interference around the enemy vessels. Dr. William Harris's research team achieved a breakthrough in the primary lab. Quantum stabilization integration successful, he announced as Dr. Richard Palmer analyzed the results. Treatment effectiveness increased by 40%. PVOR's analysis station detected a pattern match between Flora's prosthetic frequencies and the supercarrier's extraction equipment. Marcus Walker immediately began implementing protective protocols throughout the facility's systems. Neutralization field active, Walker reported. All prosthetic systems secured against forced removal. General Jonathan Hayes's command shuttle docked at the primary military bay. His medical technology protection force deployed with practiced efficiency, establishing new defensive positions with specialized equipment. Implementation of Strategic Defense Plan Alpha in progress, Hayes transmitted. Secure distribution protocols ready. Flora's neural interface continued displaying increasingly sophisticated adaptation patterns. The protective field generated by her prosthetic system expanded, strengthening the facility's defenses with each new iteration. Through the command center windows, the battle for control of the medical facility continued to unfold. The Vorax supercarrier adjusted its position, searching for weaknesses in the enhanced defense grid as diplomatic channels remained open with moderate factions. Ambassador Crawford's quantum-encrypted channel established a secure connection with the moderate Vorax vessels. Medical Bay 3 has been prepared for the demonstration. Security protocols are in place. The facility's docking systems engaged as 3 Vorax ships maneuvered into position. Through reinforced viewports, their sleek hulls gleamed against the backdrop of ongoing combat. Security teams took positions as the airlock cycled. Science Director Viral and Medical Commander K-Zoth emerged from their vessels, their environment suits displaying diplomatic clearance codes. Dr. Harris met them at the checkpoint, datapad displaying real-time analysis of Vorax tissue samples. The cellular reconstruction occurs at the molecular level, Harris explained, gesturing to the lab displays. Flora's prosthetic system provided the breakthrough we needed. The deck plates vibrated as the supercarrier unleashed its hidden weapon. A massive electromagnetic pulse rippled through space toward the facility. Karel's monitors lit up with warning indicators. EMP magnitude exceeds known Vorax capabilities, he announced, fingers flying across his console. Adaptive shielding responding. The pulse struck the facility's defensive screen. Instead of penetrating, the energy wavered, then reversed direction. On the tactical display, multiple hostile vessels went dark as their systems overloaded. Sarah Mitchell's production facility hummed with increased activity as new genetic data streamed in from the moderate Vorax delegation. Implementing modified synthesis protocols, she reported. Production efficiency increased by 200%. A quantum transport signature announced Daniel Cooper's arrival. His specialized security protocols integrated seamlessly with T-RAC's defense grid. Manufacturing Center defensive measures online, Cooper transmitted. Quantum-locked containment fields active. Long-range sensors detected the second supercarrier's arrival. Fleet Admiral Sterling's voice cut through the command channel. USS Hippocrates, establish medical protection grid beta. War Talon, move to intercept. Colonel Martinez's 5th Medical Defense Regiment deployed throughout the facility's outer sections. Their specialized equipment created overlapping fields of protection against phase-shifted intruders. Multiple breaching attempts detected, Martinez reported. Quantum containment holding at all points. Karel and Pivor's breakthrough manifested in rippling waves of adaptive energy throughout the facility's shield grid. The arrival of Commander Wilson brought new implementation protocols for the fleet, integrating prosthetic-based shielding with fleet defensive systems, Wilson transmitted. Adaptation rate at optimal levels. 2 Vorax cruisers broke formation with the hardline fleet. Technical Director M. Val's transmission carried detailed schematics of the supercarrier's vulnerable sections. Admiral Thompson's tactical display updated with new targeting data. Dr. Anderson's quantum manufacturing units activated throughout the production wing. New fabrication systems online, he reported. Security protocols integrated with Cooper's defense grid. Through the command center windows, the combined human-Hirogen fleet adjusted formation. The supercarrier's massive forms dominated the view, their weapon systems charging for another assault as Combat Medical Director Wright's teams prepared for casualties. Flora's prosthetic continued transmitting adaptation data, its neural interface displaying increasingly sophisticated response patterns to each new Vorax tactical adjustment. The facility's enhanced production centers operated at maximum capacity, manufacturing both defensive technology and medical treatments as the crisis entered its most critical phase. Through reinforced windows, Dr. William Harris observed Medical Commander K. Zoth on the treatment bed, vital signs displayed across multiple monitors. Chief of Xenogenetic Procedures Dr. Marcus Blackwood calibrated the specialized equipment, his movements precise as he integrated Flora's prosthetic data into the treatment protocols. Cellular reconstruction initializing, Blackwood announced, adjusting holographic controls. Neural interface patterns stable. Kazoth's tissue began responding to the treatment, decades of genetic degradation revering at the molecular level. Dr. Harris documented each phase as specialized sensors recorded the transformation. Warning klaxons blared. The tactical display erupted with new contacts as both Vorax supercarriers launched their strike forces. Over 200 combat vessels emerged in attack formation. Multiple hostile signatures detected, Admiral Thompson transmitted. Implementing Fleet Defense Pattern Alpha. The USS Hippocrates moved to position, its medical technology protection array creating an expanding sphere of defensive energy. The War Talon and USS Nighthawk accelerated on intercept vectors, weapon systems tracking priority targets. Security alerts flashed across multiple stations. Colonel Stevens watched through tactical feeds as Shadow Corps teams phased through the outer walls, their biological camouflage adapting to match facility surfaces. Breach in Sectors 7 through 12, Stevens transmitted. Activating quantum containment. Major Brian Davidson's voice cut through the command channel, initiating facility-wide lockdown, integrating Hirigen security protocols. Armored barriers slid into place as specialized sensor grids activated throughout the facility. Davidson coordinated with T-RAX teams, establishing overlapping fields of protection against phase-shifted intruders. In the manufacturing wing, Sarah Mitchell's screens displayed cascading warning indicators as Vorax cyber attacks struck their networks. Mark Patterson emerged from the quantum transport pad, his specialized equipment already connecting to production systems. Hostile code detected in manufacturing controls, Mitchell reported. Unknown virus variant. Patterson's quantum-encrypted protocols engaged, not only stopping the attack but tracking its origin. Source located, transmitting coordinates to Fleet Tactical. The facility shuddered as concentrated energy beams from both supercarriers struck the defensive shields. Power fluctuations rippled through primary systems. Shield stress at critical levels, RPAS announced from engineering. Implementing emergency power distribution. Dr. James Morrison's fingers flew across specialized controls, integrating Flora's electromagnetic field signature into the facility's power grid. The shield stabilized, its energy patterns shifting to match the prosthetic's adaptive frequencies. K-Rel's breakthrough manifested in brilliant waves of energy as the new defensive technology activated. Dr. Victor Thompson directed the implementation across medical sectors, each area gaining the same protective capabilities as Flora's prosthetic system. Adaptation successful, K-Rel transmitted. Shield penetration reduced to 0. Through the command center viewport, 3 Vorax cruisers broke formation with the hostile fleet. Their transponders shifted to display moderate faction codes as they maneuvered to join the defensive line. Technical Director M. Val's transmission arrived on a secure channel, sending supercarrier reactor specifications, targeting data attached. Emergency Response Director Thomas Walker established triage centers throughout the facility as combat casualties arrived. His specialized equipment enabled continuous treatment while maintaining prosthetic production. Medical Bay 4 ready for overflow patients, Walker announced. Regenerative protocols active. In the research wing, Dr. Stephen Palmer analyzed new applications for the prosthetic technology. His screens displayed potential treatments for various species' genetic conditions, as PVOR documented Flora's latest neural interface adaptations. Dr. Robert Turner integrated these patterns into the facility's medical systems. Neural network enhancement complete. Adaptive capabilities at maximum efficiency. The supercarrier's experimental weapons powered up, their energy signatures exceeding known parameters. Admiral Sterling's fleet adjusted formation as the USS Hippocrates strengthened its medical protection field. K-Zoth's treatment entered its final phase, tissue regeneration accelerating under Dr. Blackwood's precise control. Through the medical bay windows, flashes of weapons fire illuminated the space battle as humanity's defenders secured the future of medical technology. Through the medical bay windows, K-Zoth's cellular reconstruction reached completion. His vital signs stabilized as restored genetic sequences manifested throughout his body. Dr. Blackwood's monitors displayed cascading green indicators of successful tissue regeneration. Treatment protocol successful, Blackwood announced, transmitting the data through encrypted channels. The effect rippled through the Vorax fleet. 3 medical vessels broke from the hardline formation, their engines flaring as they adjusted course toward the facility. Chief Medical Officer V. Tha's voice came through on the diplomatic frequency. Request emergency docking clearance, she transmitted. Critical pediatric data incoming. Dr. Harris's screens filled with new information as V. Tha's research team transferred their findings. The genetic degradation affecting Vorax youth appeared in stark detail: cellular breakdown, accelerating faster than previous models predicted. Modifying treatment parameters for pediatric application, Harris announced, his fingers moving across holographic controls. Adjusting quantum stabilization factors. The facility shuddered as both supercarriers activated their experimental weapons. Quantum disruption beams lanced out, distorting space itself as they approached the defensive perimeter. K-Rel's adaptation protocols engaged. Flora's prosthetic frequencies synchronized with the shield grid, creating an inverse quantum field. The disruption beams struck the barrier and reflected back toward their source. Direct hit on hostile weapon systems, Admiral Thompson reported as cascading explosions rippled across both supercarriers. Primary offensive capabilities neutralized. Admiral Sterling's voice cut through the tactical channel. USS Hippocrates, USS Pasteur, USS Salk execute Operation Medical Shield. Pattern Triangle 7. The three medical vessels moved into position, their specialized equipment projecting enhanced electromagnetic fields based on Flora's prosthetic signature. The protective barrier expanded, encompassing the entire facility in a seamless defensive sphere. Emergency Production Director Michael Bennett arrived through quantum transport, his specialized equipment materializing alongside him. Three massive production units activated, their quantum-accelerated fabrication systems integrating with existing manufacturing processes. Initiating simultaneous production streams, Bennett transmitted. Prosthetic manufacturing at 200% capacity. Security Chief T-RAC deployed hydrogen phase barriers around the new production centers. Quantum detection grid active. Integration complete. Strike Force Commander Patterson arrived aboard the USS Nightingale, its specialized weapons already targeting the supercarrier's vulnerable shield generators. The coordinates provided by moderate Vortex vessels highlighted critical weaknesses in the hostile vessel's defensive systems. Colonel Drake's 6th Medical Technology Protection Regiment established new defensive positions throughout the facility. Their containment systems activated as Shadow Corps teams attempted to breach through quantum-shifted space. Intruder detected in Sector 12, Drake transmitted. Automated adaptation engaging. The infiltration team materialized inside a containment field, their phase technology negated by the adaptive barriers. Security teams moved in to secure the captured operatives. Dr. Wright's quantum medical equipment transformed the treatment process. Enhanced stabilization fields reduced the resource cost while accelerating cellular reconstruction. Flora's neural interface displayed new electronic warfare countermeasures as Vorax cyber attacks struck the network. Hostile code neutralized, PVOR reported. Prosthetic system developing enhanced firewalls. Captain Reynolds' USS Mercy established supply corridors protected by electromagnetic shields. Medical resources flowed through secure channels as Supply Security Director Thompson implemented new protection protocols. The tactical display showed increasing numbers of moderate Vorax vessels breaking away from the hardline fleet. Both supercarriers began charging their experimental systems, their power signatures exceeding previous measurements. Through the command center viewport, the combined human Vorax defensive fleet adjusted formation. The USS Nightingale moved into attack position as its specialized weapons locked onto the supercarrier's shield generators. Impact flashes erupted across the hostile vessel's shields as coordinated fire struck vulnerable nodes in their power distribution networks. The tactical data provided by moderate Vorax ships had revealed critical weaknesses. Through the medical bay observation window, K'Zoth's successful treatment data spread through encrypted Vorax communications channels. 5 vessels from the hostile formation activated their engines, breaking away to join the defensive line. The USS Hippocrates extended its medical protection field to encompass the arriving ships. Medical Research Director Vithal requesting emergency docking clearance, the communications officer announced. Priority genetic analysis team ready for transfer. Dr. Harris's screens displayed newly completed pediatric treatment protocols as Vithal's specialized transport docked. Young Vorax patients began arriving in the medical center, their genetic degradation visibly accelerating. Harris integrated the modified stabilization parameters while Dr. Blackwood prepared the treatment pods. First pediatric patient showing positive cellular response. Blackwood transmitted as restored genetic sequences manifested in the child's tissue. Degradation reversal confirmed. The facility rocked as both supercarriers' primary weapon arrays split open, revealing previously concealed resonance emitters. Quantum energy coalesced into concentrated beams designed to destroy medical technology at the molecular level. Karel's fingers flew across adaptive shield controls while Dr. Marcus Reynolds materialized through quantum transport, his specialized defense equipment already connecting to the facility's systems. Reynolds' quantum stabilization protocols merged with Flora's prosthetic frequencies, creating an overlapping protective grid. Resonance weapon detected, Reynolds announced, adjusting field harmonics, implementing molecular stability matrix. The hostile beam struck the enhanced barrier and reflected back toward their source, overloading critical power nodes throughout both supercarriers. Admiral Thompson seized the opportunity, coordinating precise strikes from the USS Nighthawk and War Talon against the exposed weaknesses. Target their lateral distribution networks, a moderate Vorax tactical officer transmitted. Portside Junction 7 shows critical instability. Advanced Manufacturing Director Robert Blackwood arrived through secure transport as explosions rippled across the supercarrier's hulls. His quantum fabrication units activated, connecting to the facility's production grid. Sarah Mitchell integrated the new systems while Security Chief T-Rax teams established enhanced defensive perimeters. Manufacturing capacity increased to maximum output, Mitchell reported. Prosthetic production accelerating. Colonel Stevens' tactical feeds displayed real-time data as his special operations teams breached a hidden Shadow Core command center. Encrypted intelligence flowed through secure channels, while Strategic Operations Director Thomas Ward coordinated with moderate Vorax officers. Flora's prosthetic generated waves of protective energy, its neural interface actively repairing damaged medical equipment. PVOR documented the adaptation, while Dr. Morrison implemented the protocols across critical systems. Automated repair fields operational, Morrison transmitted as the protective energy spread throughout medical sectors. Long-range sensors detected 3 Vorax heavy carriers entering the system. Battlemaster Cavex scout vessels moved to identify the newcomers, while Admiral Sterling positioned the USS Pasteur and USS Salk to secure vital supply corridors. Dr. Harris's latest breakthrough appeared on research screens modified treatment protocols compatible with Hirigen medical systems. Dr. Michael Cooper accessed the data through secure channels, establishing integration procedures for multiple species. Colonel Martinez's 7th Medical Protection Division arrived, bringing specialized quantum-locked containment equipment. The new defensive systems activated as hostile ships adjusted formation for another assault. Through the command center viewport, the first group of treated Vorax children displayed perfectly restored genetic sequences. Their vital signs remained stable as additional moderate faction vessels broke away from the hardline fleet, seeking medical aid for their own youth. The supercarrier's damaged systems vented plasma into space as their remaining weapons charged for another attack. Through the medical bay windows, Vithal studied the holoscreen displaying the latest pediatric treatment results. Every indicator glowed green, showing complete genetic restoration across all tested age groups. He transmitted the comprehensive data through encrypted channels, triggering immediate reactions throughout the Vorax fleet. 8 more vessels breaking formation, Battle Master Kavek announced, his tactical display tracking the defecting ship's trajectories, requesting emergency docking clearance for medical transport. Dr. Harris expanded the pediatric treatment pod's capacity, his modifications improving efficiency without compromising effectiveness. Flora's prosthetic interface streamed baseline optimization data across his screens, highlighting key restoration parameters. The facility's sensors detected a shift in the hardline fleet's formation. Both supercarriers accelerated, their weapons arrays fully exposed as they initiated attack vectors. Hostile vessels on intercept course, Admiral Thompson transmitted. Executing defensive pattern Echo 7. The USS Hippocrates, USS Pasteur, and USS Salk moved into triangular formation, their medical protection fields linking to create an overlapping defensive grid. The War Talon led its task force through a precise attack pattern, targeting non-critical systems identified by moderate Vorax tactical officers. Multiple quantum signatures flared across the facility's detection grid as Shadow Corps teams attempted mass infiltration. Colonel Stevens activated facility-wide containment protocols, quantum barriers materializing at key strategic points. Major Michael Anderson arrived through secure transport, his equipment interfacing with the facility's defense network. Implementing automated response grid based on prosthetic patterns. Mechanical sounds filled the manufacturing wing as Blackwood's quantum fabrication units achieved peak output. Security Chief T-Rax teams established new defensive positions, quantum phase barriers integrating seamlessly with Hirigen protection fields. Production security specialist Reed's monitoring systems came online, creating an impenetrable web of oversight around the manufacturing process. All production streams secured, no unauthorized access detected. Karel's fingers danced across adaptive shield controls, implementing his breakthrough in protecting against quantum resonance weapons. Dr. Wilson materialized through quantum transport, immediately accessing the shield modifications. Transmitting protection protocols to Allied vessels, Wilson announced as the defensive technology spread throughout the combined fleet. Battle Master Kavek's scout vessels identified the approaching heavy carriers. Confirmed Medical Transport Division, 3 vessels, maximum capacity. The USS Nighthawk broke formation, moving to escort the medical transports while Commander Artak's forces maintained containment around the remaining hardline ships. Dr. Harris accessed data streams from both human and Hirigen medical databases, integrating critical elements into the restoration protocol. Dr. Turner arrived with additional equipment, establishing new treatment implementation procedures. Colonel Martinez's defense grid activated, creating multiple layers of protection around all medical sectors. Flora's prosthetic patterns enhanced the system's effectiveness, maintaining full operational access while preventing unauthorized entry. The supercarrier's engines flared as they accelerated toward the facility, their remaining weapons charging despite extensive damage. Admiral Thompson accessed emergency containment protocols, while tactical displays showed more vessels breaking away from the hardline formation. Flora's prosthetic interface generated new defensive algorithms, adapting to each attack variant while improving treatment effectiveness. Through the medical bay windows, more Vorax medical transports approached as the facility's enhanced protection grid activated, ready to face the supercarrier's desperate assault. The supercarrier's desperate charge triggered their final contingency, concealed quantum resonance. Arrays emerged from hidden compartments along their hull sections. The devices powered up with an ominous crimson glow, designed to obliterate all medical technology within range. Carell's fingers moved with practiced precision across the defense controls, implementing the latest adaptation of Flora's prosthetic field. The protective barrier shimmered with iridescent energy as it synchronized throughout the facility and allied fleet. The quantum resonance weapons discharged, their destructive beams streaking toward the medical installations. Upon impact, the enhanced defensive field not only absorbed the attack, but redirected the energy back through the supercarrier's exposed emitter arrays. Cascading explosions rippled through their power distribution networks as critical systems failed. All vessels, execute Operation Medical Salvation, Admiral Thompson transmitted. The USS Hippocrates and USS Nighthawk moved alongside the disabled supercarriers, projecting modified protective fields that locked down their self-destruct capabilities. Dr. Turner materialized through quantum transport onto the lead supercarrier's medical bay with his emergency treatment team. Establishing containment protocols. Begin patient triage immediately. Inside the facility's manufacturing wing, Robert Blackwood activated every quantum fabrication unit simultaneously. The production floor hummed with intense activity as treatment doses materialized at unprecedented rates. Security Chief T-Rack coordinated with Colonel Davidson, establishing secured treatment zones throughout multiple decks. Defense grid reconfigured for maximum patient throughput, Davidson reported as quantum barriers created discrete medical sectors. Beginning controlled access protocols. Dr. Harris's screens displayed the final breakthrough. Flora's latest prosthetic adaptations successfully merged with the genetic restoration process. Dr. Pierce arrived through secure transport, his specialized equipment expanding treatment capacity across all medical bays. Implementing parallel processing matrices, Pierce announced, activating systems that enabled simultaneous treatment of multiple patients. Genetic stability confirmed across all channels. VThal's presentation screens displayed comprehensive restoration data from over 10,000 successful treatments. The medical transport Mercy Bearer arrived carrying High Council member Cathal, its docking procedure witnessed by gathered medical staff. The evidence is irrefutable, Cathal stated, examining the treatment results. This technology represents our species' salvation. Flora's neural interface glowed with increased activity as it developed automatic optimization protocols for individual genetic profiles. Pivor documented the advancement, while Dr. Reynolds integrated the adaptations throughout the facility's treatment network. Patient-specific protocols now updating in real time, Reynolds transmitted as the system adjusted treatment parameters automatically. Carell and Admiral Sterling successfully replicated Flora's protective field across the combined fleet. Dr. Harrison arrived to establish implementation procedures, his expertise ensuring standardized deployment of the defensive technology. Field synchronization complete, Harrison reported. All vessels now operating with full spectrum protection. The remaining hardline vessels transmitted surrender codes, requesting emergency docking clearance. Battle Master Kvek coordinated their approach vectors, while Colonel Morrison's security teams prepared to process the incoming patients. Sarah Mitchell's production facilities operated at maximum capacity, as Dr. Anderson established additional manufacturing centers throughout the system. Supply ships moved through secured corridors, ensuring continuous treatment availability for the surge of arriving vessels. Production output exceeding projections, Anderson transmitted as new facilities came online. Treatment stockpiles maintaining stability. Flora's prosthetic interface continued generating enhanced protection algorithms as her neural patterns optimized both defensive and medical systems. The combined fleet maintained defensive positions, while treatment ships docked with the disabled supercarriers, their medical teams working to stabilize critically degraded crew members. Through the facility's observation windows, the ANSI hostile supercarriers now floated peacefully alongside medical vessels, their weapons powered down as treatment pods filled their cargo bays. Dr. Turner's teams moved efficiently through the ship's corridors, bringing genetic restoration to those who had opposed it most fiercely. Through the medical bay's curved windows, Flora watched the diplomatic vessel Star Healer execute a precise docking maneuver. Her prosthetic interface hummed with activity, automatically analyzing and optimizing the facility's systems in preparation for the arrival of Vorax's Supreme Medical Director K-Val. The prosthetic modifications integrated seamlessly with her natural movements as she walked through the main medical bay. Medical staff from multiple species worked in coordinated precision, their actions guided by the optimization protocols streaming from her neural interface. Director K-Val's shuttle is docking in Bay 7, Dr. Harris announced, falling into step beside her. The latest pediatric treatment results are ready for presentation. Flora nodded, her interface automatically accessing and displaying the relevant data streams. The neural optimization protocols are already adapting to their genetic profiles. The shuttle's airlock cycled open. Director K-Val emerged, his tall frame decorated with the elaborate medical insignias of Vorax High Command. His eyes widened slightly as he observed Flora's fluid movements. "Welcome to the facility, Director," Flora said, extending her hand in the traditional Vorax greeting. "I believe you'll find our results exceed expectations." K-Val studied her prosthetic system with evident fascination. "Your mobility appears completely natural. The integration is remarkable, Doctor." Harris gestured toward the pediatric treatment wing. "Flora's prosthetic system provides the baseline data that made the treatment possible. If you'll follow me, I can demonstrate the direct correlation." Through the treatment wing's observation windows, restored Vorax children engaged in physical therapy exercises alongside human medical staff. Their movements displayed the same fluid grace as their untreated peers. K-Val reviewed the streaming data on the medical displays, his expression shifting from skepticism to acceptance. "The evidence is comprehensive. This program has my full support." Outside the facility's reinforced viewports, the final hardline supercarrier powered down its weapons as its command crew transmitted their acceptance of treatment. Admiral Thompson's voice echoed through the command channels. "All vessels, execute protection pattern Delta. Establish medical security grid." The USS Hippocrates, USS Pasteur, and USS Salk moved into their assigned positions, their medical protection fields creating a stable defensive network. The War Talon's advanced sensor arrays integrated seamlessly into the grid, the combined system pulsing with the distinctive energy signature of Flora's protective field patterns. In the manufacturing wing, Robert Blackwood and Sarah Mitchell coordinated the facility's expanded production capabilities. "Quantum fabrication units operating at peak efficiency," Sarah reported as Dr. Richard Cooper's newly installed systems came online. Treatment production capacity increased by factor of 10. Colonel Stevens and Security Chief T-Rack worked at adjacent control stations, merging their defensive protocols. K-Rel's fingers moved across the adaptive interface, implementing the latest protective algorithms derived from Flora's prosthetic patterns. "Defense matrix fully integrated," K-Rel announced. "Automated response systems active and tracking all approaching vessels." Dr. Wright's specialized equipment filled a newly constructed section of the medical bay, enabling immediate implementation of the refined treatment protocols. Flora's neural interface glowed as it interfaced with the new systems, her prosthetic patterns automatically optimizing each patient's genetic restoration parameters before treatment began. PVOR documented the stream of technical data, while Dr. Anderson implemented the optimization protocols throughout the facility's network. Neural interface adaptation complete. Anderson reported. All treatment centers now receiving real-time optimization updates. Through the facility's main viewport, the USS Nighthawk escorted a group of medical transports carrying patients from multiple species. Flora's interface registered their approach, already beginning to generate customized treatment profiles for each vessel's occupants. The expanded manufacturing complex, adjacent to the facility, hummed with activity, as Boston Medical Technology's next-generation quantum fabrication units achieved full production capacity. The defensive grid rippled with protective energy, as Battle Master Kavek and Admiral Thompson coordinated the permanent deployment of the Joint Human-Hirigen Defense Fleet. Flora moved through the facility's corridors, her prosthetic system continuously streaming optimization data to medical stations and defense networks alike. Her neural interface registered each new breakthrough, each successful treatment, each step forward in interspecies medical cooperation. Through the medical bay windows, more vessels approached, carrying new patients seeking the hope of restoration that the facility now represented.